Hey, can
Hello.
you hear us?
Hey.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, people. That should be my new intro. Hey, people. Welcome to Legends of Avantris, episode 19. And fun fact, we were just talking about this, that we actually had 19 sessions in this campaign before we started streaming. Hey, Kira. Thanks for the cheers.
Hey, thanks for the cheers.
19 sessions. So this session is tying up our number of sessions pre-stream, so pretty exciting stuff. Granted, our sessions pre-stream were anywhere from like 6 to 14 hours, so roughly. Still not close.
We had some fucking marathons.
Yeah, we had some real marathons, especially when we first started. It was a good journey in February. But welcome. We're Legends of Avantris. We're a couple nerds who embarrass ourselves for your entertainment. And we've been playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in this campaign for a little over 2 years, kind of in between 2 years and a quarter, I guess. And we're, although this is 5th edition, we do mostly rules as written. We have a lot of rules as fun, there's a lot of homebrewing. I incorporate some elements of 4th edition, some other things I think are fun, so please complain in the comments. And let us know what page number we're fucking up. And I guess with that, I don't know if this... Oh, this is a mature audience's stream, so we will be cursing. Things can get dark, so
that's for sure.
Keep that in mind. And I guess...
yeah, I've already fucked up that cursing before we get to the
shit! Okay, get it out, your system,
Alright, there we go.
I guess, and just a little note, Nikki's not feeling well tonight, so it'll just be the 5 of us tonight. So hopefully she feels better soon. We then, what else we got here? I guess we can just start with going around the table and introducing our characters. You probably know the bunch by now, but we'll do super quick. We have Richie playing Lord of Stonehearth, a dwarf fighter. We have Scotes playing Ganji Stormscale, a Dragonborn cleric. We have Kelsey playing Anulin Mossgrove, a wood elf ranger, and then finally we have Avantris, who's played by Andy. Avantris True Strike, a rogue, and
the greatest cantrip in the game.
The greatest cantrip. Greater Flamer Blader. You haven't used that in a while.
Oh boy.
He's saving it.
He's saving it.
For Forgus.
It's too OP. I'm just trying to rein it in, you know.
We've never been known for optimized abilities here at Legends of Avantris, and we think that's part of the charm and the fun. We're in it for the laughs, and I guess with that, we're ready to go into what happened last time. So, last episode, you approached Gangplank, the city of the Crooks, ruled by King Krem the Cruel. It was very apparent that this was a ramshackle, hobbled together city civilization from a lot of bits of wreckage, driftwood. What was that?
Any music?
Oh, I guess we do have music. I mean,
set the mood.
I feel like the music always fucks up my intros. I don't know why. Like, I can't DM without music, but if I'm giving an explanation, it messes with my vibe. I don't know what's wrong.
I believe that if you're describing situations that the music's not right for, I believe it.
Yeah,
I see it.
That's true. So we'll just do a little bit of a nice piratey sea shanty moment.
There you go.
Here we go. So the party made their way into Gangplank with a completely ridiculous plan. Their plan was to take the folding boat that they had gotten from Matthias. Vanders channeled his inner Matthias to summon that folding boat, figuring it out quite quickly. They made their way under the cover of Pass Without a Trace, thanks to Anulin, and went to beneath a bridge where they found a little embankment. They then murdered a drunk pirate and hacked him to pieces. Vandris then crafted a crook disguise out of
I'm still upset about this.
out of the body parts, and then with some
not upset enough to not do it.
Hashtag worth.
Hashtag worth.
A slack jaw.
And the DM forgot quite a lot that as he was role playing that it was just
I mean I was surprised at how long it took all of the NPCs to realize that they were talking to someone who wasn't moving.
They're really dumb.
I rolled so well though. intimidated all of them into instantly forgetting.
He was just really tired the whole time, so he was just in a permanent state of yawning.
Well, no, I was
struck
actually
a
I'm imagining that Vantage was like just doing this, and his mouth was just flopping to the lip flaps. So you were just puppeteering with your head.
Vandris actually spent the entire last episode just doing the chicken dance.
That was basically it. Then King Krem actually arrived to give a speech announcing that they were going to execute one of the leaders of a mutiny that was orchestrated. That they learned for the first time that there were a number of crooks that were not, or rather that there were members of this crew that were not super happy with King Krem's direction, particularly with him being in league with Orpheus. That they were going to get executed along with one of the Children of the Sea and one of these captives from Gullhaven. And so half of the party, or I guess two of them, stayed to listen to King Krem's speech. The other went to the prison. They did, once the party basically reconvened, slaughtered the guards that were there with some disguises and subterfuge, and rescued a crook named Ratley, who was in prison. He was getting ready to be executed at dawn, and for the crimes for treason, for mutiny. And they rescued him. They found a Children of the Sea cultist. They dispatched of him, and then with that, they also rescued Cecily, who Vandris had rescued previously from being drowned, who was then unfortunately kidnapped again, and they rescued again. She was quite sick. Ganji managed to cure her illness, and Ratley guided them back into the swamp, the Cudgelmire, and to his little hideout, and he did a special knock on the lid of this strange box, kind of going down into a raised bit of earth, and the hatch opened, and that's where we ended the last session.
Time to start a lizard uprising.
Aye!
So,
are they lizards though? I'm not sure they qualify as lizards. Close enough.
That's a philosophical question for another day.
It is.
So, as soon as the hatch opens, Ratley sticking his head overneath, looking down, you hear a voice that says, "Oh, Ratley, you alive?" And out crawls another lizard folk, crocodilian lizard folk, that looks very similar to him. Same bright green patterning, same kind of orange markings along the hide, and however, this is a slightly slighter build. They both kind of have a standard medium humanoid-ish build, but this one has one of the eyes seems to have been completely slashed out of the socket. And he says, "All right, you didn't manage to execute me, Winky. Ain't that pretty great?" And then the
Classic Winky.
and as soon as this new lizard folk comes out of the hole, she then notices that there are people there, and says, "Oh, who are these pink skins and these warm bloods you got here?" "Oh no, they're cool. They're actually with someone who is fixing to be the new king. His name is Vic the Vicious. I don't know where he is now, but he's around here somewheres."
I believe my friend Rodek here told me that Vic mentioned something about operating from the shadows.
Aye, he did. So he's currently making all the proper preparations right now, but you can rest assured that there is a very skilled crocodile pirate that's looking to overthrow King Krem.
With that, Ratley gestures a hand to this crocodile, apparently named Winky, and then to the rest of you. He says, "See, I told you they has a plan, and they busted me out. They didn't even kill me. It's like everything.
Aye.
It's like everything King Krem was telling us about Warmbloods was a lie. Who would have thought?" And he said, "Oh, it's so rude of me. This is me sister Winky. And if we calls her Winky because King Krem what slashed her eyes out."
I was going to ask if you were always named Winky and that was just an unlucky coincidence.
She made fun of
King Cram's bulging eyes, so he thought it would be funny to slash out an eye. Sorry, Winky. It's been a while, so he's fine. It's not too soon, is what you're saying. No, it's fine, it's fine. Well, I've never really talked to any warm bloods before, not even Orpheus, but you're welcome to come into our hideout, I suppose. If
That would
Riley
be
says
great.
you're
I think we have
okay.
a lot to discuss.
Hey. Okay, I'll need to give me a few minutes, and I'll need to let the others know they're a little bit more skittish than I am. I got a very strong constitution, but the others don't. And Riley looks at her. Oh, so they didn't get the others, did they? Well, they got most of the others. There's 3 of us left, now 4 with you. And so she goes back down. The hatch slams down, and so you guys are alone with Radley. So she ain't so bad, is she? Sorry, what were you saying there? What's your name, Avantris?
Yeah, Avantris. It's a pleasure to officially meet you. So did you say that you only have 4 people?
So she went down. It's just Radley and you guys up top.
Correct.
Okay.
So, well, there was a lot of us, it was, well, not a lot of us, we was just organising, but there was a good number of us, and I guess they kidnapped me, and they got a lot of us, and so I guess there's just, we're an army of 4 now, with 9, is with the 5 of yous.
I turn to Rodak and I say, I hope we didn't back the wrong side here.
Well, this will be a struggle, to be sure, but, so...
Every little bit helps.
So you said that there's 4. So even with the few more you had, what was your plan exactly? As far as how would you successfully carry out this mutiny? Well, I mean, there's plenty of us that are not that happy about what's happened with the crew. But everyone's really afraid of the king. And they're really afraid of Orpheus. Right. They all say, like King Cram will go and they'll say, I need peoples to go help Orpheus in his secret volcano lair. And then you don't got a choice about it. And then it goes up and they never come back. Right. I don't know what he's doing with them. I'm sure we'll find out one day.
I'm sure it won't be the most pleasant thing, but we'll see.
And then there's the mines of Melancholia. Ever since Orpheus came in and he needed his quota, all of a sudden they're just forcing a bunch of us to go work in the mines. Melancholia's working them to death.
Yeah, what are they digging up? Do you know?
Well, I was never forced into it, thank goodness, because I at least am good in the scrap. The ones that ain't that great at fighting, immediately to the mines. So Orpheus needs the diamonds that are in the volcano, and there are these creatures that they're hunting deep beneath the earth. And these big, got like giant snails, but like a little snail, but like huge.
A giant snake.
Giant, they got all these little technical things on their faces.
And you said they're hunting them.
Yeah. Well, they capture them and bring them to Orpheus.
Did you say something about precious stones or
Diamonds.
gems?
Diamonds is what I said.
Specifically diamonds.
Yeah.
Like you're sure they were diamonds.
Well, that's what they say. He says get the diamonds in the diamond mines, and then get the snails.
Big snails.
Oh, huge. Flail snails.
Have you fought one? That sounds familiar. Out of
No, you're
character.
not following.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, it just the name sounded familiar for some reason.
Well, I think this is probably safest for us to discuss within your hideout. So the sooner we can get in there, probably the better.
Almost as if the dungeon master heard you. The hatch flies open.
Well, I pull everyone aside first and I'm like, okay, but what are we gonna do with this woman? Do we trust these crocodile people to not brutally murder her?
The way I see it is that we probably overpower them 6,000 to 1. So I'm really not too worried about it. honestly,
I'm more wondering about what happens when we leave. Do we take her with us?
I mean, she's gonna seem to do. I should probably do what she wants, regardless. She seemed to be pretty independent when we were back at the cave, anyway, and she refused to go with us, and obviously that ended poorly. But she doesn't seem to want to listen to what we have to say anyway. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, Genji.
Oh boy.
So, Winky calls you over and says, "Well, oh God, I'd let everybody know so they're prepared for a bunch of warm bloods. So, come on down." And she goes down into the hole, and then Ratley follows her. And as you approach, you see that there seems to be a wooden structure built all the way down with a rickety ladder going down into darkness.
I have a dumb plan. A really dumb plan, and I'm sorry about this.
I love it.
What's the water breathing thing we have? Is it a hat?
Cap of water breathing.
Yeah.
Okay. What if we put like a bowl on her head, filled it with water, put the cap on her so she can breathe in the water, and then put her in the bag of holding?
Wouldn't that like explode the rest of it? How does that work? I guess not.
If she fits, I don't know if she fits in it, but if she does, then she can breathe in
Find
there.
a way to punish us. Mikey will punish us.
To be
You
fair,
guys got your hashtag worth last episode, and I want my hashtag worth this episode.
we open the bag and there's a terrible smell wafting out.
Anyway.
Well, it's not a bad idea. Why don't we consider?
Let's table that
If
for
it's
now.
absolutely critical, we can consider that. So
Okay.
I guess we'll follow them down.
Yeah.
Okay, the five of you follow your two new crook friends, and it goes probably about 15 feet underground until this damp, dank smelling, what seems to be like a really primitive, almost like a bomb shelter type area. There are wooden beams shoring up a lot of the walls of this structure, but there is earth kind of falling in some of the corners. It is not very well maintained. There are the soil, as soon as you step down off the ladder, is very moist. It's very dark. There are little, you get this strange, gross, fishy smell. As soon as you get down there, you look around, you see that there's a lot of remnants of fish bones, crabs, like rat skeletons, possum, basically little bog creatures that you get the sense that these lizard folk have been living off of for a while. As soon as you arrive, Ratley beckons you over and says, "I'm ready to meet the rest of the crew!" And you turn, and you see that along with the two lizard folk, and Winky and Ratley side by side actually seem to be very, very, like they almost look identical, given how close they are in their appearance. And there is another lizard folk. He has orange scales, but very light and faded, with black markings, and he is hunched over. He's got a little wooden stick that he's resting on the ground, and he's kind of like grabbing his hip. And there's another one who is large. It's almost as big as some of the larger ones that you fought, and this one has very tough-looking gray hide that seems to be very marked up with scars and wounds. And Ratley beckons you over, and they're kind of looking very pensively at you, kind of unsure about these five weirdos who just came into their dwelling. "Oh, I'd like to meet the rest of the gang. We're the ones that survived, yes. And so, this is old croc squits." And points to the hunched looking gentleman, and he looks at you and he says, "Well, we resorted to working with warm bloods then, as we." Oh, it's fine. I told you not to say anything that would make him kill us. Hold on.
Now, do you say your name was Squits? Old Croc Squits?
Well, Squidge, they told me he's an old grump. That ain't very nice, is it?
Is that a family name?
That's what they always told me ever since I always hatched from an egg.
All right.
Good to know. It's a pleasure to meet you.
And then there's a lot of voices I'm doing the same accent. This is tough. Whew. It's a very moist layer, Anne, you notice, as and then before Ratley can introduce, the larger one says, hello, my name is Hello. It's very nice to meet you. And it extends its hand to kind of awkwardly. This is how you all say hello, right? And it's this huge.
I reach my hand
out. Huge, awkwardly gripped handshake as it shakes and it reaches out.
What was your name again?
Hello.
Your name is Ello.
Yeah, hello. My name is Hello.
All right.
Well, this feels like several different comedy skits averted.
And Ratley pulls you aside and says, we rescued her from the mine. She got hit in the head a few times, but she's good in the scrap too. She's real strong. I'll tell you. So, everybody else is dead. Is that the case? Yeah, it's the case. And so they nod. Well, so this is what you got. What's your plan? Where's Vic?
All right. So let's take a step here. The bottom line is we don't know you very well. You certainly don't know us, and we can't really trust anyone. I believe that after we've talked a bit, we have some common goals. We are here because of Orpheus, and one way or another, I'm going to kill him. We believe that because he's working with King Krem, he's got quite the reinforcements at his fingertips. So we decided to come here and maybe do something about King Krem first. So one way or another, we're going to kill King Krem. Whether you're going to help us or how you're going to help us, we're going to figure that out. With this old Vic the Vicious working in the background, I believe that he's going to be able to draw up some support. So I'm wondering if you, using the knowledge that you have about Vic the Vicious, can also begin to rally the troops and maybe bolster your numbers a bit.
Well, so are we gonna rally around Vic? Is he gonna be the new king or something?
I think that he's open to the idea.
Well, now let's just say theoretically that someone else were to be king, and he just wants to nominate someone else and get them in power. Who would that king be?
I don't know. Can you please repeat the question?
Who do you want to be king?
Right.
As opposed.
That's a better way to phrase it.
His eyes kind of gloss over for a little bit, and he taps his crocodile snout. I don't think we ever thought about that before. Do most revolutions start like that?
Well, maybe you just don't want a king?
Well, I don't know. I was maybe gonna draft a declaration or something where we could be a nation of free crocodiles. Do all mortals, peoples really need a king?
I think that's a noble goal.
If you thought about it, who grants a king their power? Has anyone asked that?
I'm sure that some great minds have once asked that.
We haven't got. Obviously, we just started organizing. There's literally 4 of us.
So obviously you have some way to get communication into the city. How did you get captured?
Well, I was going. One of my informants said I could sneak into one of the taverns there, and we was gonna have a meeting, and he said he had a whole mess of recruits. I got there. Apparently he had gotten in King Krem's ear and had been offered a reward for my capture, and that was it.
Right, so if that doesn't work, Beyond going into the city, how do you manage to get word in to collect recruits?
Well, it's always been us has been real sneaky.
I guess the question is, if we were to, how would we? Is there any way to get up to the castle other than with a vulture? Do you know? Is there?
That was part of our plan. I'm glad you asked, because I remember. So, you know that the skies, why we stay so deep in the swamp, it's because there are vultures everywhere. You can't go in any clear spot. If you try to go climb the mountain, you're going to get snatched up. They got Zockies circling around the thing. You won't last a second against her. But old Elo here knows mines like the back of her scaly hand. And the mines actually go into a huge hive that empty out right by the entrance of King Cram's Keep.
So is this where the mines are actively being mined, though?
Well, we might have to go in a few places. One of our plans was to go through. I do know of an entrance that hasn't been used in a while. But as far as what happens once we get in, who knows? But I know that if we can, the dangerous thing are the giant, horrible wasp monsters that have the mines basically broke into the tunnels with them. But I do know that it empties out near King Cram's Keep.
That's promising. What about does King Krem travel down regularly? Is it the kind of thing? Because, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but if it were an idea to, say, cut off the head of the crocodile and take out King Krem, it seems like a good time to strike might be when he's in transit between the castle and the town, when there's no one else around him. Is there a way we could know in advance when he's moving?
Well, I know that he usually sends his communications via vulture messengers, but he never travels without being on Zocki's back. He never goes anywhere outside of his keep without that horrific bird.
So, I mean, I guess the question, I agree with you, Ganji. Obviously, we should try to avoid as much conflict as possible and just eliminate King Krem. I'm apt to think that the mines are probably the best way to do that. If it spits us out right in front of his keep, we either ambush him there, and whether he's coming or going, or we attempt to ambush him when he lands in the city. And I prefer to take him on when he doesn't have his giant bird.
Where does he keep his giant bird when he's not birding around her?
Well, all I know is that Zocki roosts up on the mountain not too far from the keep. Obviously, the keep, it doesn't have any accommodation for a horrifically gigantic two-headed vulture, so she does roost outside. And I'm not sure exactly where this tunnel empties out, but I know I've heard that people have seen a lot of buzzing coming from the holes in the volcano, and that it's a lot of the wasps are kind of intermingled in that whole brambly patch area in the volcano. That's where a lot of the vultures roost too. It's a whole mess of horrible beasties, but I guess it's more, we thought it might be easier to sneak by them than by bloodthirsty cutthroats.
So, it's a fair point. Do you think, given that you've been this crocodile thing your entire life, I'm assuming that is true.
It could have been a polymorph chair.
Yeah, it's true. Are you a polymorph chair? Were you once a chair?
Be honest. Not that I'm aware of, but stranger things have happened,
Can I
guess.
insight check him?
Sure.
Bad.
You can
The problem is, I've heard from actually one of Avantris' good friends that many crocodiles are actually humans in disguise, and they've infiltrated crocodile society. So we just have to make sure that everyone we talk to is on the straight and narrow.
I've never heard that, and
Because-
I wouldn't be surprised.
But between you and me, these warbloods can be a tricky bunch.
Oh, I know. See, that's what I'm saying. But at least you know, you're comfortable with them. It makes me feel a little bit comfortable.
These ones are all right. Trust me. There are some people like Orpheus you want to stay away from, but these ones are good.
Oh yeah, I would never trust Orpheus. That's why we. That was what started. That's the one thing. Like everybody was on board when King Krem first started saying we should have higher ambitions and start attacking rather than just kind of straggling cities from across, just making their way to and from Goldhaven. But as soon as Orpheus came in, all this weird magic sorcery business, and it suddenly started getting really weird. That's when all the people started getting, well, not people, well, lizard folk. All the lizard folk started getting sent to his keep. All of the people, still the mines. We started getting forced to work in the mines, and then all these great plans. We just like the simple life. Just enjoying a little bit of some fish and a little bit of rum and enjoying island life. It's just simple.
Sounds like a good life.
So you would think that if we were to remove King Krem, there wouldn't be the pressure to be bloodthirsty pirates.
Well, it's hard to say for sure given how long King Krem's been in power, but I feel like without the fear and King Krem leading the way, he's the one calling the shots. That's why we was trying to rise a mutiny.
And certainly, if we take out King Krem, the rest of you probably aren't going to go to any great lengths to help Orpheus, if someone might then go after him.
That's what we was thinking.
Fair point.
If they don't got King Krem threatening to chop him to bits and let him rot and feed him to Zaki, they don't give a shit about some fucking warm blood with horns, dresses all fancy, thinks he's better than us, makes fun of our clothes, like he's so smart and great.
So here's the thing. You can't be seen in town ever again, obviously. As it currently stands, we busted you out of prison. So, do you think that you can take us through the mines, or is it just Ella who's going to be taking us through the mines?
Well, she's told me about where to go, and I think I have an idea. We probably don't want to bring her along. She's great in a pinch, but I think if you even mention the mine, sorry.
You see that Ella is like in the corner, like clutching her head.
I always do this. It makes her go into a bad place, and it'll get bad. You don't want to take her to the mines. But she's told me all about it. I've been trying to massage the information because that was our main plan.
Don't worry, Hello. You're doing great. We will take care of the mines, and you just do your thing here.
I don't want to go back to the mines.
This is really sad.
That's all right. You don't have to. You can stay right here where it's safe.
Those flail snails are so terrible.
Just look at the sunset, Hello. Just look at the sunset.
We're going to... Don't worry.
Whoa. What? Was that... Was,
The Mice and Men reference.
I was gonna say, is that fucking of Mice and Men? That's really fucking dark. Jesus
We have
Christ.
an intellectual we have an intellectual stream here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, don't you worry.
Very well to get our jokes.
So, it sounds like... Do you still have any friends left in the mine? Sorry if this is a sensitive subject.
Well, I mean, they go through them pretty quick. I don't even know who would still be alive or who would have died by now or who would have been sent off to Orpheus after they can't work no more.
Well, don't you worry. We'll go in there and we'll kill all the bad people and we'll save anyone who's left.
Okay, thank you. And what are you doing with that tiny warm blood?
She points at Cecily, who's like slung over Ganji's shoulder or some shit.
Well, she's also a good one, and we're trying to keep her safe as well. She's also a prisoner, so she's suffered just like you have. We're just trying to keep her safe along with everyone else who's been caught up in all of this nonsense. We don't know what we're gonna do with it though.
Ratley. Yes. If we leave her here, do you swear that she'll be safe?
Not only will I swear that she's safe, after having a conversation with people who feel like all lizard men should be free, I feel I will leave Winky overcharge of her and I will go with you, and if anything happens to Cecily, you know what to do with me. Winky, you got that?
Kill you. We're not murderous, cold-blooded.
It's collateral.
Sorry, I'm just cold-blooded.
It's collateral. Just put in a good word with Victor Vicious, okay?
We'll
I
do
think we
that.
should do that.
Okay, good. And for all of us, all four of us.
Consider it done.
Now,
Squits waggles his cane. Says,
Well, I hope Silas eat bug possum. That's all we've eaten in the past 5 days. Damn it, Winky! Get something better than bug possum.
chucks his cane at her. It hits her, and she's like,
Oh, you eat bug possum and you're lucky you're eating anything at all.
and she grabs his cane and chucks it back at him and hits him. He picks it up, and so you see.
Now that's over. I'll keep an eye on this one. I'll keep her fed. We'll get her strong to join the resistance. We'll give her some. We'll get her strong so she can join the resistance.
Right.
I'll give her some pamphlets to read.
Do you have like freedom crocodile pamphlets?
Well, we're working on them. It's just a possum hide with some scribbles on it at this point. But it's in
Let
a
me know
draft
when
form.
it's done, and I'll take a look.
It's in a draft form. Okay. I'll keep an eye, and I'm way sneakier than Ratley. He likes to think he's a sneaky one. I'm way sneakier. I can get in and out of gangplank just fine.
Well,
'Cause I don't trust no ones.
I don't need to think going into gangplank is a good idea at this point. Because did they say there was a reward, right, for any mutineer?
You heard that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's a reward for any mutineer of
Like some
500
crazy-
gold
yeah.
pieces.
And
some-
Bradley would have heard that too, right?
Yeah.
'Cause everyone
So
did.
Yeah.
just so you're aware, there is, if you Ratley got caught before, there's now a 500 gold reward for any mutineer captured. So I think at this point, I don't think, even if someone loathed King Krem, I think it'd be a wee bit hard to convince them to risk their life.
Well, what's your plan then? We don't got the lizard men behind us.
Do you think you could safely get into gangplank?
I can try, but if you think it's a bad idea, maybe I'll reconsider.
I think you should reconsider. I think that if you truly think, if all of you, do you all agree with Ratley? And I look at the rest of them.
They all nod.
Do you all agree that if King Krem, if we were to strategically remove King Krem, do you think that the lizard folk would be free,
Well,
as you call it?
that was our plan the whole time. If you think you can do it without an army, have you done anything like that before?
A few times.
Ronak cracks his knuckles. Yeah, well, just a wee few times, aye, we have.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
17.
17. She looks at you and nods and says,
Well, if we can find, if you can, now you can sneak in, kill King Krem, and keep that one alive.
she points at Ratley.
Then I think we might be able to figure something out.
Then what I'd like you to do is I think you should spend the next few days, however long it takes us, prepare materials, just start thinking about how do, if we can successfully kill off King Krem, how do we then win the hearts and minds, as they say, of these crocodile people, your people.
Well, we'll figure that out. Just good times and comforts. I mean, lizard folk are not that complicated. I don't know if you ever met one.
Just a few days ago was my first.
It's whatever's comfortable, whatever's just as long as we survive and we're comfortable. That's why we like the old life. King Grim's talking broader visions and things beyond that, which is just not the old ways.
All right. Well, you three stay safe. You stay out of the city, and you just survive.
I think we can do that.
Are we going now?
Probably not.
You're welcome to stay a while. I got some bog possum.
We very generous. Thank you. Needless to say, I promise you we will kill King Grim. You have the Avantris guarantee.
Well, Rangers, it's nice to meet you and everyone else. I appreciate that. If you would kill King Grim, that you would have accomplished something we've been trying for a while now. And not succeeding.
This is my line of business, I might say.
He's quite good, honestly.
Wow, I never think we would have got professionals in here. Rattling, isn't that great? Well, I know, and they just showed up, and I was in the show. I was like, well, I'm going to be skinned alive. And then the revolution shows up on my doorstep. It's like divine powers exist or something.
Yes, imagine that.
Well, what is it? It's nighttime now?
It must be getting close to dawn.
It's getting
right?
close to dawn, probably, because you guys got there
Oh,
at
right.
sunset, or after sunset. So it's with how long it took you, it's probably getting close to dawn at this point.
I know we're becoming nocturnal, but I don't hate the idea of still moving under the cover of darkness and perhaps resting throughout today.
Aye.
Sounds good to me.
If you wouldn't mind, we just need a bit of floor space.
No, that's
If we
fine.
could,
There's enough room. Might be a little cramped, but there's enough room. I'll go out and see if I can at least catch a few fish, maybe a giant catfish for a special revolutionary occasion. Everyone get comfortable. Rattler, you've been being almost killed. You gotta help me hunt.
And then so the two of them scamper off,
Just everyone stay here before we'll be back with more food.
and they scamper off up the ladder.
As we huddle up, I just say, I kind of lean into everybody and say, while I don't think they're any immediate danger, I think that we should still take switching watches between Annual and I.
You read my mind.
That sounds very reasonable
I
to me.
think we're very safe. I truly do think that that they're not going to cut our throats in the middle of the night. But I think just on the safe side, if you could take turns meditating, as long as you're both okay with that, then we can all get a nice pleasant sleep.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. So the five of you wait a bit. It looks like Cecily is sleeping calmly at this point, thanks to Ganji's healing. You make some light conversation with Squits and Elo, but you probably wait about like an hour or so, hour and a half, 2 hours. And you hear a loud clattering, the door flies open, and you hear a loud thud as a huge catfish sloshes down onto the floor of this hideout. And
I told you we'd get one for a special revolutionary occasion.
you see both Ratley and Winky skitter down the ladder, and they get right to work ripping it apart and just basically ripping off portions for everybody.
And do you have a way to cook this?
Well, I guess if you want to ruin it.
And so they
If you don't mind.
they start building a fire. They know how to make fire or whatever. So a little fire. They keep the hatch open and tent out the all the smoke. And they cook they kind of try to put back all the pieces they ripped off and like tie together, and then set up the salmon to roast. And you all enjoy not as bad as you were expecting for being like swamp people, lizard folk cooking.
Well, we greatly appreciate your hospitality. To be quite honest, we got lucky finding you, Ratley. It seems like
You're lucky. I would have been ate up by a giant vulture ripped into pieces right now. Well, not me.
Let's say we both got lucky.
Okay, by the way, sorry.
No, go
I just wanted to say, especially if we're keeping the hatch open, I want to keep an ear out. Because I assume we're not going to hear much from the city, but if he's got that magical voice amplification thing, I want to see if there's any yelling when they find out that the prisoners are gone. Because I'm kind of curious to see what happens in the town. But I'm not going to like go up and like watch. I just want to keep an ear out.
Just make a perception check for me.
Okay. Not great. 9.
9. You keep an ear out, but you just hear swamp noises. It's like the frogs and the bugs are singing in this swamp, and it sounds like it's full of life. You hear a few low cat growls, and kind of that wafting putrid smells kind of getting in a little bit. You got a little nose blind to it after spending so much time in there at this point, but it's still, the hatch open, it's a little bit stronger. And you do not hear anything from the town. You're pretty far off into the swamp, far away, but probably like at least an hour hike, maybe like 2-hour hike to Gangplank from where you are. But you do not hear anything. You haven't heard anything from King Crown. Okay.
Dang.
So you enjoy your meal. If there's anything else you want to talk about, you can go to sleep.
Before we go to sleep, guys, I was thinking a lot about this big bird, and I didn't know if it's worth us trying to disable it in some way. I thought you were saying something, sorry.
No.
What if we could find a way, my thought process is all of these bodies that they have on display in the town, what if we could find a way to like put poison on them or in them so when it came to eat, it would be poisoned?
That's brilliant. I still have aircat venom.
Oh, do you?
I was going to say I don't know what poison is going to hurt it if it's eating rotting bodies, but that might do the trick.
That's true. I mean, it's not a bad idea.
No, not at all.
The first thing about animal.
Would I know what would poison a vulture?
Make a nature check.
Aren't there like digestive systems like nearly indestructible? They can like literally eat it.
You never know.
Is that a
I
good?
got 7. What do I know?
So you know that vultures can eat a lot of really disgusting things, but if there's a poison that's meant to, once it gets into your bloodstream, shut down organs and kill something, then there's no reason to think that it would, if there's a poison, that it wouldn't kill a vulture.
That's a great idea. I was honestly thinking if we could find a way up to it while King Krem is on it in flight, I was thinking of trying to banish it and seeing King Krem fall several hundred feet. But that if there's such a thing as
one stone.
Yes, I think I like the poison idea better.
Well, we could always do it as a backup, and if the opportunity presents for you to banish it, then so be it.
I like that idea. I wonder if we could, if Winky is as stealthy as she claims, I wonder if we could suggest that to her. Just poison the bodies around the podium.
I'm just going to assume you guys are talking amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Not they're kind of off eating and they're talking amongst themselves, so you can pose whatever plan you want to them.
I think that's a very fair idea. My concern is that, given that she looks just like Ratley, if she were to go into town, she would get, I feel, instantly recognized.
But be honest with us, Rodek. How many of these lizard folk can you tell apart by sight?
Not all the small ones look the same and all the big ones look the same, but I can tell the difference between the two groups. That's fair, but you think that probably, like, to me, a dwarf might look a lot different than other dwarves to me, but not to you all. So maybe to them, they could tell right away that these were kin.
I don't disagree, and I certainly don't suggest trying to talk her into it if she doesn't want to, but it sounds like she's confident and willing to do this, I don't mind posing her the idea and making it clear that that it's risky and she's more than welcome to refuse. I don't mind putting it up to her, but I'm just spitballing here, so I'm good with suggestions.
Well, I think the idea of us heading into the mines and maybe getting one of them to do it for us would be the best course of action.
Right. Right, so maybe we just have her attempt it. And hopefully he comes back down on the big bird, Zoki or whatever he said. And hopefully eats the right one. Cause how many were there? Were there dozens?
There were quite a bit. There were a few that were closer to the Zaki's perch and the little dais that King Crumb stood on. And there was the closest one was the one that Zaki ate when Sylvia and Vanders witnessed the speech.
I also have a poison potion, actually. So we have a couple things of poison.
I was going to say, I've got 5 doses, or vials of it. We can spread it out as needed and just hope that we get lucky.
How does the poison potion work?
I don't know. It came off of the croc at Ferguson, I think. When I searched it, I got the fire breath pot and the poison pot. So I don't know exactly what that is. I don't know if that's different from Ettercap poison and less effective or something.
Well, what I worry is that a dose for a general person, we would probably need a stronger dose to affect a gigantic vulture.
True, but there's also the fact that magic usually ignores effective dose too. So I'm. The point is,
it can't hurt.
I don't mind trying this if she's willing, but I also definitely agree with making the fact that we think it's very risky clear to her before she agrees. And if she doesn't want to, then I'm okay with that too.
Should I look around in the swamp and see if we could make any just additional natural poisons just to kind of bolster whatever we're trying to do?
If you wanted to try to do that, you could. Try to do that.
What do you guys think? Is it worth it?
Do we...
I don't know what time's looking like here.
Yeah, do we have time? Like, before... If we're gonna do an 8-hour rest, do we have time to, give that a shot for an hour or two, and then...
So if you want to go and make a survival check, and Annulin, if you maybe someone, depending on who you have come with you, make some survival checks, then we can kind of figure out basically what you find in the swamp.
None of us are proficient in this poisoner's kit, right? To make poisons.
Avantris is.
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Oh, how does
We
that
can't hear you.
work?
We can't hear you.
We can't hear
Anders.
That was the only reason why I had harvested the venom in the first place, was because we had killed some of those things and I stayed behind and tried to, I guess, milk them.
Delightful.
Well, it's worth a shot if you two want to go find venomous creatures and make poison out of it.
Maybe we could ask old man Grandpa Croc to come. I'm sure he's familiar with the things in the swamp.
Yeah, honestly, the more we make these people feel useful, probably the more they're going to like us,
Right.
and the more devoted they're going to be to the cause. And
So probably don't have much time left. So we'd like to make them at least feel like they've accomplished something in their lives.
I wasn't going to go that far, but okay.
We were all thinking it, I'm just saying.
Well, okay. All right. Well, let's do that. Vandris, you'll come?
I suppose so.
Okay. I'm gonna go speak to old man Croc, who I can't remember his name.
Old Croc Squits.
Squits.
As in
Squits
Twitter.
or Squit?
Squits with a T.
Wow, what you little elf creatures, what are you doing here?
Well, Mr. Squits, we were hoping that you might be able to help us with something. We're trying to go out into the swamp and see if we can find some creatures or some items, and we thought that you would be helpful in this, being from this area. Would you be willing to help us?
Well, what are you looking for again? And I want to say, why does when a bunch of warm bloods come to visit, we eat something other than bog possum? Why don't we get to eat that every day?
We didn't catch much of that, but we're looking for venomous creatures.
And possibly tasty snacks.
Well, if you're looking for poison, why don't you ask Rattly and Winky? They knows all about poisons.
Oh, well, that's very convenient. We will do that.
Thanks, Kira. Kira!
But I do know that there are certain creatures in the swamp. You want the giant, poisonous-looking frogs and the snakes. Frogs and the snakes. Stay away from all them poison-looking bugs with the venoms. You don't want that.
Why is that?
Because it ain't as potent. They look like they're dangerous, but they're just all useless. Stay away from all the spiders is what I'm saying.
Is there any way for us to harvest this venom without killing creatures?
No, you got to kill them and get the venom glands right out.
That's what I thought.
Try mushrooms. Some poisonous toadstools.
Yeah, what about plants, poisonous plants?
Fauna, if you would.
Oh, well, if you're gonna go, you gotta find the ones that are as orange as possible. You're gonna think that it's the purple ones, because purple's poisons, but don't get those ones. You need the orange ones.
Yes, I've made that mistake before.
I know, right? It's an easy mistake.
Alright. Avantris, do you think we ought to ask them to come with us, or should we just give it a go on our own?
If you ask Winky, then maybe you can pose her the idea of poisoning on the way.
Perhaps. I'm not thrilled by the idea of you and I having to kill any of these creatures and potentially harming ourselves in the process.
Well, that's what the short rest is. The long rest is for afterwards.
Yeah,
Out
I'd
of
say
character,
fuck
out of
out.
character, out of character.
So, let me just get this straight. We're gonna leave these two goons here to rest while you and I go out hunting these things.
Sounds good to me.
Come on, man, we're elves.
Yeah, you only need 4 hours. Cut me some slack.
Alright, but then let's go now. Let's get this out of the way.
We can start sleeping,
Talk to
right?
Winky as well.
I don't want my scales to tarnish, honestly.
Alright.
Okay.
Is that what happens? Do you get really tired? Do you like rust?
Probably.
Not before this, but it's canon now.
No, it can't be in the swamp.
Kind of just look a little rusty. We can let him.
Yeah, I walk off with like a little tin of polish and just start putting it on like
It'll be like the Wizard
moisturizer.
of Oz. Oil!
Yeah, exactly.
Oil!
Alright, let's rock and roll.
Okay.
We should talk to Winky. We should talk to Winky first, but yeah, let's get out of here.
Hey, Winky.
Yeah, what's up?
She's like tearing. They're all tearing into this catfish, particularly Squidz. He has his hand over his belly. He's like he's feeling very content.
That looks good. It looks tasty. Would you come join us in the swamp?
Well, why are you going to the swamp now?
So the idea is we have a plan to help with the rebellion and all. We were thinking that since you're so sly and sneaky, that you might, if we were to give you some poisons, if you wouldn't be able to perhaps use them on the Zaki's food source.
Using poison on Zaki?
We were gonna try it.
She thinks for a moment, and then she looks at Rattly.
Rattly, why don't we never think to poison Zaki? Right, I don't know, you said we was gonna poison King Cram, but he only eats from his private stock because he's so paranoid about being poisoned. So it's like, we know about poison, so what's the point now? But Zaki takes out a whole element of it. We're in.
Beautiful.
Let's go. That's
Come on,
awesome.
let's rock and roll.
Wait, how are we gonna poison Zaki now? I'm not in now, hold on. What's your plan?
So, depending on, I guess, just out of character
I
here.
love
Poison
that.
always a
I love
liquid.
that. Jack
What was that?
voice.
Sorry, it's Jack. He's like clapping. The waterfall out of his
Very
mouth.
loud.
I love it.
Is poison always a liquid?
It would depend on. It would probably. I think it's like a viscous liquid, like a gooey kind of thing, depending on the venom or the
We
poison.
can probably make like a paste or like powders or liquids
Yeah.
depending on what kind of form. I assume Ettercat venom is a liquid if it's coming from fangs. I assume that mushrooms would be ground up into as I am proficient in this sort of thing.
Yeah. So I guess if it's a liquid or something like that, I would presume that we would pour it on top of the different food sources.
So which food sources is Zoki eating? Are you gonna put it on those gross bodies in the gangplank?
Well, we were hoping that you would perhaps put it on those corpses. Yes.
Oh, me? I thought you told me to stay here.
Sorry, are you Winky or are you Bradley?
Oh, Winky!
You told me to stay here and not go to gangplank.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
easily confused.
It'll be like Ling.
No, Winky, you'll be coming with us as we collect the venom. Then we'll give it to you, and you will be taking the bodies.
So I'm gonna sneak into gangplank and just try to venom everything up and use the poisons.
You
They
did
say
say how sneaky you were.
I am very sneaky, but that's...
You said that. Yeah.
Well, you also brought up some good points about it being dangerous.
Well, what do we know? We're just warm bloods.
Well. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I was saying something else. Go ahead.
no one said that fighting for freedom is safe.
I'm actually no. I'm going to use the Rocky Talkie and talk quietly to suggest this to them, but not tell Winky yet. That we could apply the poison to one of Annulin's arrows and have her shoot the arrow into the corpse and deliver it that way, which would let us
Then
do it
there's
from
just an
range.
arrow sticking out of a corpse.
I guarantee you, Zaki doesn't give a shit.
I think that'd be
An appetizer.
It's fancy. It's on a little skewer. It's a little toothpick.
It's a whore's dwarves.
Here's these.
The bottom line is that I could do it myself, but we were hoping to split efforts up and perhaps give you guys some very important responsibility involved with the rebellion, while we perhaps traverse the mines and ixnay King Krem.
Well, what if you two look pretty sneaky and laugh like elfie types? Unless I got a closed eye now, Winky. Why don't just the three of us go down and we'll poison him?
I don't like that.
Now hold
The
on.
idea is to split our efforts.
Hold on, that's not a bad idea.
Rodex, shut your mouth.
Given
Well, let him talk.
Given that, sure, she may be very sneaky, but you're especially sneaky, Avantris, and Annulin uses magic to make you really sneaky, so the three of you combined.
I don't mind it. The problem is we need to wait another 12 hours and go again under the cover of darkness. That's the only problem. If we want to make this a pit stop on the way to the mines, I'm open to it. But I'm gonna waltz in there in the middle of daylight. I'm sneaky, but I'm not that sneaky.
So why don't you go out there in the swamp, you get all the materials you need, you can spend the day crafting it, and then at night time, make sure you for your 4 hours of meditation in. We can swing by, we'll wait on the edge of town, or somewhere in the swamp, you guys sneak in, poison the bodies, and then we'll head to the mine.
Done. Get some rest. We're heading out.
Alright, good night.
Okay.
I pass out.
So the rest of you pass out. Winky, Ratley, and the two elves go out into the swamp. And so, Annulin, I want you to just make a survival check. Actually, I need it. Give me a nature check with advantage, a survival check with advantage, and we'll see what happens there.
Nature is a 16.
Okay.
Survival's a 17.
17. Okay, cool. So you spend probably about 2 full hours with Winky and Ratley, and the 4 of you are able to, using the guidance that you had gotten from Old Croc Squits, and using the Ratley's and Winky's knowledge of poisons and venoms, you are able to catch a large number of brightly colored frogs, brightly colored snakes, and then bright orange mushrooms. And why don't we just do a general... Let me see what this would be. I'll just do... Why don't you just... I want both of you to make general dex checks. Straight dex checks.
20 total.
22.
22. So, just for the sake of brevity, we'll just say you get into some pretty easy fights with like larger, like huge. You find one giant frog that's gonna be really poisonous, and it's a really easy round of combat. But you had to fight it to kill it, and you managed to find one large snake as well that you fought and killed. So you are able to haul back a very large haul of these snakes, frogs, and mushrooms, and you get back to the with the help of Ratley and Winky, you're barely able to kind of drag back everything that you managed to capture in those 2 to 3 hours, and you arrive back to the place. Chuck it all. They start just chucking it all in. Rodek and Ganji and the others wake up a little bit from just the sound of cutting corpses, blood.
We wake up a little bit, then just kind of like roll over and go back to sleep.
And put in foam earplugs.
When you get back to the hideout of this band, of Ratley's band, you can see the rays of morning coming through the canopy of the swamp trees, and the sun has risen.
Well, shit, no, it's definitely time to sleep.
And you close the hatch, and then basically all is quiet, and just that dank, wet earth smell, the moist earth smell, if you will.
Annual, if you'd like to get your 4 hours of sleep first, I can start working on the poisons and extracting the venoms.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm gonna...
Ratley he looks very tired.
Well, on with these guys. I know we woke you up, Winky, so you stays up. I'm gonna pass out.
And he hits the ground hard, and he starts snoring very loudly. Winky goes over to you and says,
Well, I might as well give you a hand there, Avantris.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you.
okay. So everyone else is asleep except for the 2 of you. Annulin's meditating, I guess. That doesn't count as sleep, but she's meditating. So, you begin...
Do you guys have vials or things or jars?
I believe so. Let me check.
And I believe you guys had a ton of empty jars from the lycanthrope. The lycanthrope cures, so...
Yeah.
We'll just say that you have enough jars for what you're trying to do here. So with Winky's help, I'm going to need you, Vanders, to make a dex check with your poisoner's kit and roll with advantage, please.
It's just a straight dex check.
Dex check plus proficiency.
All right. How many? Just one.
Proficiency.
I meant how many rolls? Just one. Just the one check.
One check. We'll just do it across the board, but you're rolling with advantage.
26.
26.
Nice.
Okay, so when all is said and done, you are working tirelessly with Winky for 4 straight hours. Annulin is starting to stir from her meditation. By the time she comes to, she sees that you have basically 24 jars of, and maybe you're using some old potion containers or some old vials that you had. But so Ratley, Winky, and Vanders have gone through and they've cut the venom glands out of these creatures. They've skinned some of the creatures, put that in, taken the mushrooms, carved out the most potent parts that luckily Winky had been familiar with. Over this period, she tells you... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Can I also have used the Ettercat venom
Yes.
and potency? So
Yep.
I'm gonna remove the 5 vials from my inventory.
Okay. And were you going to use the potion of poison too?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. I would have said I gave this to Avantris before
Okay.
I went to sleep.
Okay, so for this process, Winky had pulled out a pot which they had been using to make stews and from whatever they could, and so just all of the poison potion, which looked just like a health potion, was glaring like a health potion, pours straight in. Van just empties all of his Ettercat venom, all of the mushroom paste that the two of you made, all of the venom glands you mashed up into a paste and turned in, and then you stirred all around, and this thick, goopy, black, pasty material is all that remains, and you have a ton of it in this pot. And when Angelin awakes, you've finished siphoning it off into separate portions, so it should be transportable.
All right. I'm going to take some time to rest. Anulin, what I'd like you to do is take these 12 jars.
2 dozen, so 24.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll need to split this amongst the 3 of us. So 8 apiece, and once I wake up, we'll talk about a game plan on the edge of town, perhaps. But just keep an eye out, and we'll figure it out.
Okay, yeah, get some rest. I'm gonna help these guys clean up and wash their cooking pot very well, and try to just repay them for being such good hosts.
Aww.
I was
I
gonna say that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I really hope they don't just poison themselves horribly.
Water floods aren't as bad as I thought. No, it's fine. I appreciate the help. As I close my eye, I appreciate the help.
So Winky helps you clean up, chuck all of the corpses and everything, and all of the remnants of the mushrooms up into the swamp above, burying it in this thick goopy mud just to make sure that nothing will attract any wild animals or any scavengers. And she assists you in cleaning up, and then as soon as you're finished, she looks exhausted, she passes right out. Anulin is the only one awake at this point, and 4 hours pass. Anulin, you kind of hear the sound of maybe some creatures scurrying across the lid of this hideout, the trap door of this hideout, but nothing exciting happens, and the rest of you wake up and come to from your meditation.
Oops.
All right. So we were able to get 24 jars of this stuff. I think, as we discussed, the plan is for the 3 of us to sneak in. Perhaps the 2 of you keeping an eye on us from the edge of town, somewhere safe. If we can disperse these jars amongst all of the food sources, I think we've got a pretty good plan going.
Now, is our plan to then depart directly for the mines?
I believe that's the best course of action.
I think so too.
All right.
We shouldn't waste any time.
Well, it's been lovely. I turn to the ones staying behind. Elo, we'll take care of everything at the mine. And old man Croc, old Croc Squits.
Oh, yeah. Bring back some fantation and bog possum, why don't you?
If you promise
Why
to split
don't you?
this,
Yeah.
I want to take out like some rations from my pack. Which is probably what, like dried meats and breads and stuff.
Dried
So I want to like
mostly
take
dried
out some
meat,
rations. Save half of this for Cecily, but you're welcome to the other half.
Oh, that sounds great.
As long as you
ugly
promise to
thing.
feed, you promise to keep her fed and safe.
And also, she, having been captured by crocodiles, she's probably going to be pretty scared when she wakes up. Try to, give her some time and space, please.
Well, she's with us and she ain't getting her throat cut, then I think it'll be fine.
Has she been unconscious the entire time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any parchment or anything?
I do. I was actually about to say I was gonna write her a note or something, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I think we should just write her a little note, assuming she's literate, and like say it's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna do that. So I write her a little note,
Okay.
and
You got her a note? What do you want it to say? Like, are you gonna get? What are you gonna like? Any key details or anything?
just
so I have it.
well, explaining who we are, because obviously she doesn't know her handwriting.
Yeah.
But just explaining like the same people that rescued her from drowning. We got her out of prison. We know it's scary waking up underground with a bunch of crocodiles, but these are allies. They'll keep you safe. We have their word on that, and we'll be back to get you out of here.
Okay, great. So Ganji takes some time to do that while everyone's getting ready to go. Ello and Old Croc Squits make the motion that they're going to try to keep an eye on her.
Sorry, real quick, just to increase hopefully her confidence, I'm gonna sketch like a rough drawing of us,
Okay.
the five of us on the bottom, just to like let her
Yeah.
give her some more facial recognition that it's us.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So why don't you just make a dex check and add your proficiency just to see how good it is.
Please God, give me a good roll. Nope. Natty one.
Well,
But that,
plus-
with proficiency, that's gonna be a 5.
Okay. So I mean, you're doing it hastily, so it's not like perfectly detailed, but you can get the sense of who you are.
Okay.
So-
Hopefully that's enough. I've done my best.
Cool. And so with that, is there anything else? Ratley flies open the hatch, and he pulls out a crossbow from a little stash of weapons that they had saved, and he says, "Well, let's go." And he heaves off. You see Winky grab 2 daggers, and she puts them on her belt, and she grabs 2 more, and she's basically stuffing daggers and knives all on her person. And Ratley grabs like a big thing of bolts, and they're like a little bit rusty, but he dusts them off, and he tries to carry as much as he can with him because he's not sure when the next time he's going to be back to restock. So with that, all of you leave and make your way through the swamp. Doesn't take long. It is approach at this point. So if it's a little bit after sun up and you guys were going to sleep, it's probably very late, or you would have waited until when it's like until it's dark, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming under the cover of dark.
Because we didn't want to be. Yeah.
So the final rays of the orangey glow of the evening sky disappear behind the very dense tree cover as once again that familiar sound of the singing of the frogs and bugs and birds of the swamp elevate to incredible volumes as night falls, and you stealthily make your way, and I just need a group stealth check from everyone, including Winky and Rat.
Wow, I actually didn't roll very well. I got a 23.
Wait, sorry. Who is this? All of us.
I'll roll for
Okay.
first, so wait,
Sorry,
15.
what are we doing?
rolling stealth.
stealth. Yeah.
I got a 14.
14? Okay.
I got an 18. Can you pass me the camera?
What?
So this is what I picture Ganji's sketch to look like.
Oh
I
God.
have one too. I did the exact same thing.
Oh,
Can
come
you see this?
Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we
This
go.
is, oh, there you go. That's amazing.
So it looks something proximate to
The
that.
point is, I'm trying to indicate that it's us and I'm not trying to make fine fucking art here, okay?
So, yeah, shout out to Folly Potter.
Yeah, Folly,
who
thank
did this
you,
art.
thank
Folly
you.
and I had the exact same idea. Great minds, Folly. Great minds.
Yeah. Awesome. So,
Many moons ago.
so armed with what you have, so stealth check, Rodek, did you do that?
18.
18. Annulin, sorry.
15.
15. Okay. Vandris?
24.
24. Okay. So, you all make your way through the swamp. It is not too far, and you've been in the Cudgel Mire for a good number of days now, so it's becoming easier to navigate. And you get to the large river that splits the town in two fairly quickly. Were you planning on taking the classic boat strategy, or what were you guys planning on doing?
If we're not that far, I mean, what? I guess what would be the difference in time? Could we roughly guess what the difference in time between boat and foot would be?
You would probably guess that boat would be considerably quicker, given that you can just sit in the boat and row. If Annulin Cat, when the last time you did it, you row and you basically got to the heart of the town very quickly, rather than kind of navigating the streets. And
All right, we'll do the boat again then.
okay,
If everyone's okay with that.
okay,
Yeah, and I'm gonna cast Pass Without a Trace as we're getting in.
Sylvie would cast invisibility on the three of them.
okay. So the three of you have invisibility, pass without a trace. Bradley looks at the two of you.
So we're gonna stay in that border river right here. We ain't going no place.
Well, we want to meet. Should we meet you down at the other end of town, near the beach? Ratley, do you remember where we disembarked out of the boat the first time? We should meet them
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can lead us there by foot.
Yeah, we'll meet. You remember where we rose, Avantris?
Correct, I do.
Okay. We'll meet there. Let's head off, lads.
All right, lead the way.
Okay, so you two, Ratley and Sylvie, all head out and towards the swamp to basically wait at the beach. Three of you, two elves and Winky, get in the boat. She's like,
What happened to me? I was invisibles.
so everyone, the three of you make a stealth check with advantage plus the
That's the
plus
10, right?
Plus 10.
plus 10. Jesus Christ.
Wow, I rolled really low this time. I got a 32.
Unbelievable.
Must be nice.
Unbelievable.
I rolled an 11 with advantage.
At 34.
Hey!
Okay. We got Winkies here. Okay. So
Okay. I'm way sneakier than Rattly is, so don't worry about me. We ain't gonna get caught.
So here's the thing. Take the jars. You have to be extra careful because I think that we need to actually apply the poison to the corpses. I don't want to just stick the jars in the bodies and hope for the best. I don't know how that'll work if the vulture swallows a jar whole. So be careful with the venom. Maybe you wrap some cloth around your hands before you apply it and then dispose of the cloth. And don't get any on you if you can avoid it.
okay. With that, she nods and says,
Okay. I got it. We're gonna take care of this disgusting bird. And then King Krem will know that Vic the Vicious is coming for him.
okay. With that, you get in the boat, you channel your Matthias in calling it forth from its compartmentalized state, and Vantage once again takes the oars, rowing even more silently as... I don't know if the boat would be invisible. I guess you're sitting in it, so it wouldn't count. The oars are invisible, I guess.
Yes.
And so I guess, no, that you are grabbing the boat and it's invisible. So we'll just say...
And it's covered in Pass Without Trace anyway.
It's covered,
right?
so you are
so
blended into the night as you make your way down the river. You
I
get back
am
out
the
in the
night.
same embankment that you did.
You really up to the dark.
The fire rises.
With that, you hear that it's a little bit after sundown, and the town is rowdy. There is way more. It seems like there's more anger in the city than anger and fear than you had noticed previously. There's definitely drunk shouting, and as you get up off of the bank and make your way to stealth through the city, you are hearing just drunken accusations of mutineers, of mutiny, left and right. And it seems as if whatever thugs are the ones charged with keeping the peace or working for King Krem, when all of them work for King Krem, like just the bigger thug, whoever is doing it, no one's really sure of who's supposed to turn on whom. And you see like the remnants of spats, just corpses laying in the street from infighting. From brawls that were vigilante justice. And as you make your way through the streets, you do see that these same familiar poles that had kept Children of the Sea and the like all have humanoid figures tied to them, but they're all lizard folk. You get to the center of the town and all of the poles around, it seems as if Zaki or whomever had eaten the rest of these corpses. But they have since been replaced with these corpses of dead crocodilian lizard folk, and carved onto each of them is the word mutineer.
Oh, jeez.
Fuck.
So you make your way to the center of town. King Krem isn't there, so there's not a huge throng. There are a decent number of crocodilian lizard folk walking around, most of them drunk, or at least starting to get drunk, not looking, some look a little bit suspicious, low voices, plotting, you're not really sure, against King Krem or their fellow crewmate. And there are large braziers set up to burn a lot that are piled high with corpses with how much bloodshed there has been in the past day. You hear also whispers and of the name Vic. Yeah. You get the sense of no one's really sure who this Vic is. No one's really sure of who Vic is and how he got so vicious. And whispers of the name Ratley, the leader who Vic risked it all to save. And whispers of not really being sure this is the first time King Krem had really been made a fool of. It was very public. Talking about how King Krem had canceled his visit, obviously, when he heard that the prison had been broken into, and he was really angry, but that he was going to likely visit that next day. And
oh, baby.
And there is, it seems like the sense of discontent and uncertainty in King Krem has gone up quite a bit, and lizard folk even whipped up into the frenzy of fervor and the strength of King Krem and leading them as a bloodthirsty pirate king. They still are lizard folk who just want to survive and enjoy the base pleasures. And things aren't nearly going according to plan, but you have some loyalists, some people loyal to King Krem saying, Orpheus has a plan. Orpheus has a plan, he will figure it out. It's only a few more days, it's not going to take long. And with that, you see the ring of posts right by Zaki's perch and the dais, covered in the corpses of, whether they were guilty or not, traitors, mutineers.
Jeez.
Poison the shit out of them.
So, I quietly am gonna whisper, like, as we're all still together, this is a bad scene. I think we ought to work carefully, quietly, quickly, and get out of here as soon as possible. I think that if we can, we should try to put the poison, like, in the corpse's mouth, because of it just so nobody sees it, because I think it's black. Is that right? It's like black.
Yeah, it's like a
already.
black paste, kind of, liquidy paste.
Yeah, so let's try to put the poison in the corpse's mouth so that it's concealed and inconspicuous, and we'll get out of here as soon as we can.
Okay, so
Got it. We'll be real quick.
And so with that, the three of you fan out, and I need both of you and Winky to roll. Let's just do a straight dex check, and given that you're invisible and have more and are as stealthy as you are, we'll just say you can roll with advantage on this as well. Okay.
23.
Okay.
19?
19.
No, I'm sorry. Hold on. 22.
Hey,
That's right.
Okay. And
that's it.
okay. So you don't see your comrades. Winky says,
Well, I'll take these, you take these, you take these.
so you come up with a plan of which bodies you're taking. You split up the jars and you execute. As you approach, the smell of rot is just starting to emanate from these corpses. As you get closer, you see that many of these were cut down with crude swords. You get the sense, throats cut, slashed across the chest. Some had their heads removed, but then had just nailed to the post to basically have a full body. And as the rot is starting to set in, you are taking your time, being as invisible as you are, your vial staying invisible as the black liquid seeps down the mouth and the throat of each of these corpses, sliding down into the stomach. You empty all 24 of your vials.
Ooh.
And reconvene together without any lizard folk catching wind of your plan.
Nice.
Okay.
We're gonna go back to the river.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Lead the way.
And so you all make your way down to the river. Vandris once again calls the boat, rows down the river into the lagoon, and back towards the landing point where the rest of your party and Ratley are waiting for you.
Well, how'd it go?
Better than I would have expected, actually.
So are you telling me that you administered all the poison?
All 24.
Well done, lad.
We did it.
Well done, lass.
Did you hear anything about the state of the town while you were there?
It was quite chaotic, if I do say so myself. I think we've done quite a number on their structure, their security. They're all up in arms, and I think they're not real sure what's happening.
That's good. I bet that will mean King Krem will have to make a demonstration soon.
Right. So morale is low, is what you're saying.
I've never seen it this low. This is what we was trying to do. You managed to do it in one night.
We've definitely done some destabilization. This is Rivington Manor all over again, if I do say so.
Wait, you didn't burn the town down though, did you?
Not
Oh,
yet.
good, right?
Well, so it just seemed like they're more of us are fed up with King Krem then, eh?
I would say there's a very clear unrest. Not everyone is on the same page.
Now, trust me, Ratley, it is a bad scene. After they got wind of Vicious Vic and even people talking your name as a leader of a revolution and a rebellion, I think we stand a chance here.
Well, all we have to do now is our part of taking care of King Krem, so lead the way.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Now, why don't we get you... Is it kind of... Would it be out of the way to go back to the hideout?
You could get probably close-ish.
Yeah,
and
get
then
close
split
enough to
off
make sure
towards the
that
mountain.
Winky doesn't get, brutally murdered.
Okay. Okay. So, with that,
We've gotten surprisingly attached to these lizard men.
Well, they're either...
Well, especially you, because you're freaking
I'm just...
crummy lizard.
Well, that's their death sentence.
so
God, shut up.
with that, you all make your way through the up the beach. You went to that same rock outcropping to stay out of the site of Vulture. And I guess I'd forgotten to mention here that there seemed to be a lot more. I always forgot the vultures. There seemed to be a lot more chaotic movements of the Vulture Riders as well. A lot more back and forth between the keep and Gangplank. It seems as if what was ever looking out for surveillance is definitely not as measured and deliberate in looking for you or for anyone else. And a lot of the Vulture Riders are just passing information back and forth from the keep, it seems, or at least going back and forth and kind of trying to keep a handle on things in Gangplank, just to put that in perspective. So you get the sense that it might be an easier time, at least making your way up the beach and making your way to the mines. You're hoping that vultures don't spot you. So with that, you make your way through the mines.
The mines
Or
or
no,
the swamp?
the swamp, sorry. There's a lot
That
of...
was
What is
easy.
that? Nice.
And you're at the keep.
Yeah, you did the
Dying,
keep.
bro,
Arc
dying.
is over. Orpheus is dead. Congratulations. Thanks for playing. With
Here's some
that,
shitty loot and you throw cards.
I got some loot. You want some fucking loot? With that, you reach a point in the swamp, and Winky stops you, and she just draws her daggers and looks around, and she says,
Well, this is me. Rattly, try not to die. I thought you was dead, so I guess I've already grieved a little bit. So if you actually die, it won't be as bad. But try to survive. They were saying your name down there.
Riley looks at her and says,
I'll do my best if I hang out with these lads and lasses. I think I might stand a chance.
And I think you should also take care to not die. Do whatever it takes to make sure that you and those few in that bunker, you're at the beginning of the resistance, you're at the beginning of the rebellion. So, history has its eyes on you.
Us now.
Oh, that's a good line. That's a good line. I'll
So-
keep note of that, and I'll keep your little
Take-
lady friend safe.
Take pride in big things are happening.
Well, for the resistance and to the death of King Krem.
The death of King
The death
Crab.
of King Crab.
Here, here.
To the death of King Krem.
Aye.
and with that, you
Aye.
part ways. She nods at you and goes back into the swamp, heading in the direction of the hideout. And so, Ratley, says,
Well, I want everyone to be on alert. Because even though everything Aloe says I believe, and I think she's probably right, but sometimes truth and reality don't agree with her as much as she would like. So I think we have decent intel, but be on alert, and we'll do our best to make sure we don't get seen and make our way to King Krem. Please keep me alive.
We'll do that.
You just stay with us, you'll be safe.
okay.
Don't you worry.
So he grabs his
We
crossbow.
haven't lost that many companions, if any.
Well, some of us might have.
We don't talk about that anymore.
There are rumors, anyway. It's a sensitive subject.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, so that's fine.
Anyway, just lead the way.
So he is holding his crossbow on very high alert and leads you through the swamp. And I like one more group stealth check, please.
We don't have passive training anymore, do we?
No.
We don't?
What? Isn't it only an hour?
Yes.
Possible.
I got a 25.
You could. Is it worth casting again? Would we know that we're we would know to try to be stealthy up to the mine, right?
Oh, yeah. Ratley was telling you guys to be stealthy and on alert. So this is just to kind of get through the swamp and dodging vultures and the like, and just for general.
Yeah, I think we should just regular stealth it
Okay.
right now.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't great.
I say as I fuck up my stealth roll.
That's an 8 for me.
That's an 8 for me.
Good God.
Well, shit.
Okay.
I got a 13.
Okay.
You suck.
For the record, if I didn't have disadvantage, I would have gotten over 20.
Oh, wow.
But you did.
Why do you have disadvantage?
Arbor.
Ah, that's right.
This chump stole the boots of Elvin.
I got booties.
Okay.
I'll trade you for the cloak of protection.
I'd rather die.
Okay.
I probably would too.
Yeah.
Probably would.
So, Ratley leads you through the swamp in the direction, and it takes about a while. Do we have the map of Undertow Isle here?
It's somewhere.
Also, it doesn't really matter who has boots. As long as one of us has disadvantage, it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, it's literally...
Here you go.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So, you get the sense of this is the river, you're kind of here, so you're through the swamp, and you are basically going about right there.
Oh, so we're going the north side of... Okay.
So you're going the north, or he probably, no, he took you across the river here, so you're like heading right about there. And so this is not to scale, obviously, but the gist is you're heading towards...
this line here is like mountains, right?
So yeah, basically because Incarnate doesn't actually have like a big sloping... It's supposed to be a sloping volcano all the way up with a keep on the top.
So just imagine kind of different... These represent sort of lower...
They're like elevation
volcano.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Higher.
Yeah.
Topographical map.
Yes.
Yep. So
Topography.
you spend probably about 4 to 6 good hours hiking your way through the swamp with the help of, I'm assuming, Gander, you're casting water walking when you need to and the like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So,
Hey!
Kida, you the best.
Thank you.
With that, as you are making your way through the swamp, you hear the sound of creatures and the occasional of squawking of vultures as they're flying relatively low, lower than you've been used to. It sounds still far off, but you get the sense that you're getting closer and closer, and through tonight is a little less gloomy. Obviously, there's still cloud cover, but the clouds are a little bit less thin, and the moonlight is shining through, and through very small gaps in the canopy of the swamp, you see the volcano rising up and looming over you as you get closer and closer and closer. And the swamp, the wetness of the moistness of the swamp starts to dissipate as it turns into more and more of like a standard forest as the elevation starts to increase and the incline of your path gets steeper and moist anyway. And as you're making your way, you start to the underbrush and the overbrush and the overgrowth becomes more and more sparse. The heavy sound of something like monstrous crickets and dragonflies and swamp panthers and toads and whippoorwills starts to get quieter and quieter and disappear behind you, as before you is sloping upward. It almost hits. You kind of see off through the less dense trees ahead of you almost a near vertical incline as the mountain starts to just cast up higher and higher with the shriveled, withered trees. You get the sense that there may have been a forest here on the side of this mountain many, many, many years ago. It almost looks petrified. And you're not sure whether it has anything to do with Orpheus or King Cram, or if this forest was wiped out from some act of war when the Bronze Dragonborn fleet attacked it and smashed the Black Dragonborn. But whatever it is seems to be this incredibly treacherous, non-scalable mountain pass. And as you turn around a bend near this ridge. Radley says, "Oh, we're almost here." And he guides you a little bit further, and right in the foot of this huge cliff face that goes upwards towards the sloping volcano is what appears to be structures built around and into this mountain. So,
Oh shit! You got a map?
no. I think maybe it's down there on your end here. I don't know. Yep. So I forget what are those things called where they're the wooden like aqueduct looking things that kind of funnel all of the rubble down. I don't know. So anyway,
Wooden aqueduct.
It's a ruffle funnel.
Yeah. So wooden structures built teetering treacherously with bits and pieces of rock and earth that does anyone rubble funnel? It's a rubble funnel. Built along, going from one small vent carved into the mountain, going down. It does seem to be, before it really continues on its desired path, seems to have broken and fallen to the ground. As you make your way, you see two large cave entrances with barrels and crates kind of scattered about these entrances. And as you approach,
This is the place. Be careful. Stay alert.
and he guides you, and you see the entrances built into these. You see a wooden bridge as a ravine splits this scene. Let's just get. And you see two different tracks. Two different tracks built into the ground that venture off into the darkness of these seeming mine entrances.
So
One
this one and that one.
and that one.
And this is a
And
bridge?
That's a bridge going. There's a ravine that splits these two entrances that goes all the way to the cliff face here, and it is a good probably 40-50 foot drop into that ravine. As you see all of this ahead of you, you don't get the sense of any motion or movement quite yet, but it does look like it looks like it might not be functioning, but you're not sure. It doesn't look as abandoned as you were hoping.
Well, what's the plan?
Well, which one of these tunnels do we take?
Well, I think they both go to the same place.
So, you said that Elo said that this entrance was completely abandoned, is that right?
Maybe not completely abandoned, but you know, it was less used.
Well, I think it's safe to say that we should still keep our guard up and assume that this place is crawling with crocodile pirates.
Or bees.
Or bees, one or the other.
Can we see any differences between the two tracks here?
Yeah, does one look more heavily used than the other or something?
You're probably too far to make that kind of assessment. If you wanted to actually go up there and...
Yeah, if we could just start sneaking, or I don't know, I would think.
Yeah, that's what
Why
I would
don't we
think.
just, as stealthily as we can, get closer, try to get a lay of the land and see if we can see any kind of movement.
Agreed.
Alright.
Okay.
We're gonna start kind of inching up, maybe like along the... Where will we have like the most cover?
Okay, so as you approach this, the forest, the tree cover and the underbrush kind of gets a little bit more scraggly and brambly and gets a little bit more sparse. So the cover is light. You are able to kind of try to duck and weave behind rocks and boulders and the like. But as whenever you kind of hear, you're keeping an eye out to the sky, and whenever you kind of see a vulture in your general vicinity, you are trying to duck behind areas, and you do manage to kind of get behind one of these large crates that seems to be totally empty. and get a better sense. Both of these tracks seem to have not been used, at least in the past couple of days. But why don't you're actually doing that? Why don't you make an investigation check, Rhoda?
Okay. Well,
You're a dwarf. You know how these things work, right?
yeah, right. You would think. Investigation is 14.
14. So you are looking around the area, and you do notice that there are a few discarded rum bottles and a few different markings of tracks that seem a little bit more fresh than you would have hoped.
In this one. Are you coming this way?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this one. What would I know about having experience with mines and things like that? Would any of that be able to tell me, give me any additional insight into, why would they have two, and would one be used less often? Or like if this one was used recently, would that mean that this tunnel would be less frequently used?
So I think your idea would necessarily not your experience would be that would be that doesn't necessarily mean that both would probably be used equally in order to kind of get rubble out and then use whatever this contraption was in order to funnel a lot of the waste out down away from the working areas.
Okay.
Well, why doesn't somebody go on and scout ahead down the first tunnel?
I can do that.
Do we have like a map or something? Like, actually, this is out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Does Riley seem to be following like memories of what the other one told him, or does he have like a map or something, or?
It's all up here.
That's less promising than I was hoping. So basically, we need you to turn into Yuki and find us the foreman's office so we can find the map.
No, Yuki. Yeah.
Sorry.
So
much for our erudite references.
Only a true intellectual.
So, anyway, Anulin, you're fine ducking around the corner just to take a peek in, maybe a few 100 yards down? Or 100 feet?
Is it dark?
It's dark, yes.
Do I hear any sounds coming from the mine tunnel?
From where you are, you don't, but you're pretty far at this point. You're kind of staying behind cover. But are you sneaking up now?
Yeah, I would sneak ahead and just see.
So we're all like here.
So yeah,
Yes?
Give me. Why don't you just do a new stealth check for me?
Okay.
You look.
Okay, that is a 25 to stealth.
Okay.
Can we get some?
There's no cart on the track or anything, right?
Not that you can see. I need you to roll a perception check.
I mean, I know that's why it's called melancholy, but.
What was that? Did you roll perception? Sorry.
You're kind of like.
I got a 10.
No.
A 10. As you approach, you peer in, and you see the track, it seems to not be broken and busted, and it goes off down into this mine, and as you approach the mouth of this cave that seems to have been tunneled, the mouth of this tunnel, you hear the sound of voices.
Okay, so I just want to stop where I am and see if I can hear what they're saying.
With a 10, you cannot make out what they're saying.
Too many echoes.
Okay, so I'm still at the mouth. I have not entered the cave.
Correct.
Can I just check for any sort of like barrier, trap, or anything like that at the mouth?
Let's see. Let's see what I did here. Okay, so you can probably see about there. If you get the sense here, well, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But you get the sense here that as you look down, the track goes down deeper, and it basically disappears out of view as it goes deep into the mountain, and you see the entrance of a little side compartment there off to the side. Right, a side chamber. Yep.
What'd you say?
So you're doing your best Avantris impression.
Yeah, I basically want to just like make sure that if there's not like a tripwire or like.
Not that you can see. With a 10.
I can't do like a check for traps, or is that part?
That
of
was just part of the perception check, yeah.
This is balls. Okay.
Balls. I mean, but because you're staying there, you're not actually going and investigating. So if you were going and being deliberate about it into the thing, you could make an investigation check.
All you have to do is say the word.
I think I better call in the big guns here. So I'm gonna go back to the group and just say I can see down into the cave a little ways, and it looks like there's a couple offshoots, and I hear some voices, but I'm afraid to set off some sort of alarm by going in the cave.
Annual, please let a real expert take care of this. It was a valiant effort. I appreciate it, but just stand aside. Thank you.
Oh, you.
I'd like to roll a stealth check.
Okay, roll stealth.
And proceed to enter the cave after checking for traps.
Are you both going?
Nope, just me.
Just okay.
I'm gonna stand back a safe distance and wait for him to blow himself up.
Yeah, all right.
Holy crap! I am not rolling well today. I'm actually going to cash in on a lucky token.
Okay.
Because I need to re-roll one of these. I rolled a 3 and a 4
Oh,
with
Jesus.
advantage.
Aww. As your band is going to trap check into me.
Alright, what's your question? I rolled a 14, which equals a 25.
25. Okay. So you feel like you stumble on a rock, you kick it off to the side, it starts to clap, and then and then you feel luck overcome you, and all of a sudden it just becomes deathly still again, and you blend into the shadows on the side of this cave. And are you going to enter?
Hell yeah, I'm gonna enter. I would also like to check for traps.
Okay. So are you gonna look down, or are you gonna actually just make an investigation while you're going down?
I'll make an actual investigation check to actually investigate for actual traps.
Okay, make an investigation check for me.
I'm on fire, boys and girls. My investigation is a 25.
Oh.
25.
All you need to do is use up some luck.
Okay. With that, you make your way down the. You make your way down the tunnel. The track seems to be a little bit in use, and you actually do notice that there is a crude tripwire stretched across the length of this tunnel. And
Not today.
as you look upward, you look that it's rigged to some crude contraption and tied up in seems to be a heavy metal minecart.
Fucking minecart carnage.
I kind of want to just like disarm it and see if we can like use the minecart to like get deeper into the mine. But if it's like does the minecart look like destroyed or in good shape or like?
It's hard to tell from where you are. It doesn't look to be destroyed. It's got all four wheels, and it just seems to be whatever creature set this up was intending for whatever trip to the minecart to fall and crush and kill whatever came by.
I don't think there's any way for me to disarm this trap without setting it off. I think that like it's just gonna go if I try to like sever the wire. It can't be like sophisticated, right? I mean, it's just a shitty minecart rigged up to kill someone.
I mean, I think by the rules of the game, you could probably figure out a way to disarm it. Like, maybe you just scale the wall or something and try to figure it out. You could roll for it.
I don't want to, I don't want to leave it. I also would like to see if we can have use for the minecart, but I also don't want to alert the entire cave that we're here. I'm going to go back out to the rest of the gang, tell them what I found, and see what they think.
Okay.
Do you think that this minecart would be of any use to us?
So you're saying there's a minecart hanging from the ceiling?
More or less.
I don't. Oh
It's
Jesus.
very complex road stuff. Just there's a minecart.
Well, there's a minecart, but there's also voices that you heard while you were standing.
Oh, yeah, you hear
right
voices.
under-
I didn't hear the voices.
Yeah, you heard the voices. I'm sorry. So yeah, while you're there, we can spin it back. You do hear voices, and you hear the low voice, the really deep voice, and that says, "Oh, we had a good haul tonight, lads." And a couple smaller, higher pitched voices saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be rich. No one will be any the wiser."
Does it sound like it's coming from around the corner or deeper down in the mine?
Around the corner.
I have had a new plan. Great idea just came to me. I would like to take a single metal ball bearing from my pack and throw it into the room. And I'd like to ready a dagger.
Okay.
I don't know where this is going.
Okay.
I love it.
So let me just check this real quick. Okay. So with that, you are going to take a small ball bearing, and you just cast it into the room. And it's ting, 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 ting. Hey, where is this all coming from? And there's a go check it out. You're a muscle. And you hear douche, douche as a lumbering, huge crook lumbers out around, and you're in the shadows, lumbers out to about here and you have your dagger ready, and he's looking around. I'm gonna make a perception check.
Once he is underneath of the cart, I'd like to throw the dagger at the tripwire, severing it.
Wait, you're just right by the tripwire, right? Or are you in range?
In range. I don't want to be.
Okay, so I need you to just roll an attack on it.
Oh jeez.
For thrown weapons. What's just his attack? His
It
dex?
should be Dex plus
Yeah.
Proficiency.
plus proficiency.
Yeah.
I rolled a natural 20.
Hey!
So that would be a 28.
As if you were born to throw daggers. Maybe Emiria taught you some circus trick shit when you were bounty
Amazing.
hunters together. The dagger flies silently through the air of the mine and severs it immediately. You hear a loud clink, and you see the rattling, and he doesn't have any time, and he just looks up, huh? Boosh! And it falls and crushes him. You hear a loud as... Let me actually just roll some damage here. And it smashes down on top of him. And actually... Okay, he failed his dex save. And he tries to dodge out of the way. It crushes... is not even close. It crushes down on him. He's gurgling. Blood is spilling out of his mouth as his eyes seem like he's barely alive, and you could probably easily coup de grace him.
I say I love my job, and then I slide the rapier into his throat.
Just make an attack roll with advantage.
I got a 25.
25 roll damage.
Damn! I'm alone, and so is he. I get to fence him.
Poor fuck. Isn't this an auto crit too? Because he has an
Because he's.
unseen
Oh, I get
attack.
to double my dice? Because I rolled a 28 to start.
So stop! He's already dead! So after crushing him, it doesn't seem to do the job. You. Boop! And your rapier effortlessly slides and he lets out as blood spurts out of his mouth. This heavy minecart that looks like it was built to hold someone of his size. Huge minecart has crushed him, and you hear voices call out, "Hey, what was that? What happened out there?"
I basically whispered to him as he's dying, "Sorry, friend, today was not your day." Can I see into the side room?
You look into the room, and there seems to be 4 of the crooks. And these seem to be of a standard build of just a standard green complexion, and it ends right there. You're able to see in there, and they are towards the back of the room here, and they're starting to come around to check out. And they'll say, "Hey, Crunchy, what happened out there? What did you set off? What set off the trap?" And when they don't hear, us,
I need to alert my friends.
You heard the crash, right? From the car.
Yeah, I assume so, right?
they heard the crash. It's like, "What's
Well,
up?"
did we hear the crash?
Oh yeah, you guys heard the crash, yeah.
Sorry, at least if I would have run in when I heard the crash.
Yeah, I would hope that they would.
And so they're
Oh, yeah,
on
good point.
they're on high alert, and so they're gonna turn as they hear the footsteps. They say, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And they all draw weapons. Everyone roll for initiative.
Oh, shit.
Oh, nice.
Hold on. Don't tell me yet. Everyone roll. I need my combat music. Ooh. So he's dead, so I don't need to have monsters too. Fuck.
He crit though. You gotta get that to him.
20 to 21 or 25. Sorry.
I got a 23.
Okay. If I can find Annulin, here we go. 23. 15 to 20.
19.
19 with the Ganji. Wow.
18.
For a change.
18. What does Sophie get?
Let me roll for Sophie. Her dex mod is, so she got 15.
15. Who?
I got a 14.
Okay.
You're just too pleased with yourself to roll.
And so they're not surprised hearing the loud clattering, and they hear the footsteps coming. But you guys are all going before them, and we're like, monsters won. There you go. Annulin, you're up. So
where would you say we started if we were back here and we ran up? When
so
the flash
I'm gonna set up everything here.
Okay.
Say one's there. And as you're approaching, I'm gonna say that you guys manage. We'll put Lumi over here.
Where's the big guy?
We'll just Lumi. Can we use Lumi for Ratley? I don't know if Ratley matters.
Oh, Ratley does. He's joining you guys with his crossbow. Thank you for reminding me. Ratley's gonna be the big bad here. We're gonna roll his dex, and he's gonna at least do.
He's the new big bad of the Kremlin crew.
He's the new big bad. So actually, no, we'll use Lumi as what's his face as Ratley. With that, it's Annulin's turn, and he's gonna. Can we use Salazar as or no? We can use
Yeah, where's Salazar?
Where's Kremi or Salazar?
Oh, is he
Use Kremi.
Okay.
Hootsie. Okay. With that, Annulin, you're up.
Okay, I can't see where we are, but
Oh, that's perfect.
somewhere. Oh, cool.
That's our Ratley
It's
friend.
Ratley. It's
Ratley.
perfect.
Looking good, Ratley. I would want to just. I can't really see where we are behind.
Sorry,
Avantris.
Oh yeah, wait.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I would just move up enough that I would be able to
It's
get
a weird
shot.
angle.
Well, it's
Sorry, I turned it.
no, it's
Oh, so it's kind of wide. It's not like we can like stand on the tracks, right?
Yeah. So you can stand on the tracks and basically the huge cart will just say is here. So that'll be giant minecart on the top of a giant crocodile-looking creature, a dead crocodile-looking creature. So you could probably hit number 4.
Okay, I'm gonna move closer to Vandris,
Okay.
kind of maybe like behind him. If I could shoot between him and the cart.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would probably be blocking her range there. The cart would be.
Oh.
So like
Oh, it would. Okay.
there would be fine. Yeah.
That's fine. And I'm going to cast Hunter's Mark on number 4 and make an attack.
Okay.
28 to hit.
That hits.
It's 21 damage.
21 damage. Okay, to number 4. 21 damage. Okay. As they are all running at you with actually battle axes. I think I said swords. They don't. They have battle axes. They are ready to go. Your first arrow hits its chest, but he's still coming at you.
Okay, I'll make my second attack on him.
Okay.
That is an 18.
19. Okay, that hits. Yep. Your arrow sinks into its into another portion of his torso.
$26 damage.
26 damage. Okay. He almost stops. Blood is pouring out of his wound, but he is still coming at you guys. Ganji, you're up.
Alright, so I'm gonna run as far forward as I can, and then I'm gonna Sacred Flame the same guy.
Okay. Dex
So it's a
save?
DC 15 dex save.
18.
He passes, so
Yep.
nothing happens.
Okay. He dodges the pillar of platinum flame as it attempts to singe him alive. Rodak, you're up.
One, two, 3.5, 4.5. I will stand there and use the dodge action.
Okay, you run up, stand next to Avantris, kind of shoulder to shoulder, bolstering yourself, ready to take him on. Sylvie.
Sylvie will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If she goes here, can she hit? Hey, thanks,
Hey.
Mr. Chemex.
Mr. Chem.
Hey,
You're the best, man.
Yeah, this is great.
Chemex raid, woo!
Woo!
Oh, hey, yes, they have an amazing stream. Follow these guys. Great stream. Good stuff.
Oh, I'll have to check
Yeah,
him
swing
out.
Hippo. Yeah, no, good stuff. You guys are the best. You guys rock. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Really, really good stuff.
So Sylvie is going to hex. What would hex be? Like a little angry face. She's gonna hex, I guess, number 4, right?
Okay.
As focus fire
Yep.
here. And she is going to use 2 Eldritch Blasts, which is a 15 and a 19.
15 and a 19 both hit.
Okay, and then so I'm gonna roll. These are Cremmy. I should know what the fuck I'm doing
You
here.
should know. You play a Warlock fan.
Okay,
Just
so
roll the damage once.
Yep. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 damage.
21 damage. Both arcs of the glitter lance, the Eldritch Blast, hit either side of his crocodilian head and incinerated. He's left with a spine sticking out of his headless body as it collapses to the ground.
Oh, these poor guys.
Vandris, you're up.
But they're crocodiles.
Rodek, why did you take the dodge action?
Because I could have dashed.
Okay, you just couldn't reach.
I couldn't get them in. Yeah, basically.
Okay, I'm just gonna get the one that's closest to me, like right on the other side of Rodek.
Okay.
And stab him in the face.
You sprint up around the corner. You can hear him, his footsteps as he's running at you. You round the corner with your rapier drawn, venom spine. Make an attack.
I got 15.
15 hits. Roll damage.
Beautiful. Let's see. And then once I'm done my attack, I'm actually going to step back 5 feet using my fancy footwork.
Okay, you remember what Matthias teaches you as soon as you stab your rapier into its gut and you dash and dance back.
24 points of damage.
24 points of damage. Okay, great. To number 2, 24 points of damage. It's his gut is now bleeding as this thick red gooey blood is pouring out as you dance back from what Matthias had taught you. And yes, I was the guy in your stream hanging out with you guys. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Had a great
It's
time.
more of like a group name, but yeah. He's usually
It was me.
trolling.
I'm the Spartacus.
No, I'm.
With that, it's Ratley's in the back, and he looks at you guys efficiently and effectively just run into combat. He's walking up uncertain. Like, wow, you guys are really good at killing us.
Don't take it personally. We kill all kinds of things.
Oh no!
I'm trusting you guys. And he takes his crossbow and he lets a bolt fly.
I assume he moved up to like. Well, how much movement did he? He was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna say he can move here because he's an NPC and I can do what I want.
I do what I want. And he is going to make a crossbow attack on number 1.
Where's the third guy? Why isn't he showing up? Oh, Avantris is blocking me.
And that's going to hit. And he's going to say, "Death to all lackeys of King Creme!" And then he's going to fire, and that is going to do a good amount of damage as the crossbow bolt sinks into number 1's chest and has not been hit yet. So with that, his turn is over. They finally go. So they are all going to rush at Avantris with their battle axes drawn. And okay. As they're going, their jaws are snapping and their axes are drawn. We're just going to basically make some quick rolls here. So number 1, we're gonna do battle axe attacks here. 2 17s, both of those hit, right?
You're muted. Push the talk.
I keep forgetting I'm gonna push the talk. I'm gonna uncannily dodge the first one.
Okay, so that will be 11 points of slashing damage as it slashes in. The next one is 10 points of slashing damage. And it's going to go in with a bite.
Oh shit! It's just one guy.
That's one guy.
Ooh.
And it's going to miss. And so we're going to just do that. We're going to do that 2 more times. And one of the battle attacks, but another battle axe is going to hit, dealing 7 points of slashing damage. And then he's going to go in with a bite. And he's going to miss with the bite again. The other one is going to make its 2 battle axe attacks. One of these is going to hit, dealing, Jesus Christ, 6 points of slashing damage. And then he's going to go in with a bite, 1 more. And that is going to hit for 7 points of piercing damage.
I'm bleeding.
So,
Are you bloodied?
they hear the clattering of footsteps and these axe-wielding crocodile humanoids running at you. They have no idea what's going on. They can see the horrible devastation that you did to their huge looming thug with the minecart trickery. But they are just after blood. You can see that as they get close to you to attack you, that each of them has a pouch of it seems to be heavy with some kind of like jangling, clinking sound, and they seem very, very, very careful about protecting these. With that, it is Annula's turn.
Yay. I'm gonna transfer my hunter's mark to, I think it's number 1?
Number 1?
Yeah.
You got it, fam.
And I'm going to make. Is he damaged?
Number
Yeah.
1 is yes.
Oh, yeah.
Radley damage.
Okay. I am going to make. I'm just gonna make both arrow attacks on that one.
Cool. You channel the power of nature and hone your hunter's mark and fire both arrows at him. And welcome, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
It's an 18 and a 14 to hit.
14 misses, 18 hits. Roll damage for that. See you guys. You guys rock.
18 damage.
18 damage to number 1. Okay. The arrow flies in, and one clatters off to the side of this little chamber, and the other one hits into his chest, but he's still coming after Vanders here. And with that, Candy's turn.
Okay, so I'm going to run up here
Okay?
and attack number 1.
Okay?
That should hit. That's like a 21 to hit.
Great. That hits, yep.
Okay. 14 points of damage.
14 points of damage to number 1, you said.
Correct.
Okay. 14. So you swing in, you grab Malleus Maleficarum. The chamber illuminates with this golden light. As soon as you grab it, it radiates with light. You swing your warhammer. It hits him in the side of the face. Blood spits out of his mouth. And Rodek, your turn.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna jump right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at Avantris and say, "You need some help, lad." And I'm gonna swing in with. Let's make it a power attack. Fuck this guy.
I'll give you 10 on that.
11.
I'll use my
So
reaction.
21.
21.
Thank
You feel like your
Bahamut.
axe attack is going to miss, but once again, that familiar guidance of Bahamut makes it
damage.
find its mark.
12, 17, 27 damage.
It's number 1.
Is that number 1?
Fuck that guy.
That's me crossing him off as the axe shatters his ribs. Blood sprays on both of you as he lets out a and falls backward from the sheer force of Rodek's axe swing.
I'm out of movement, so I will just stand there.
Okay, you just stand there after deleting that crocodile. Sylvie is up.
Sylvie is going to probably scooch around here, and she's going to transfer Hex to... 2's been damaged, so that's 3.
She channels the power of the Summer Court and finds the curse of the Fae on him.
Okay, so it's going to be I think this is +9, so 20-something,
Okay.
and then 16.
Hits.
Okay. 1, 2, 3... What would you... Oh.
Number 4 is down too.
6, 11, 12, 13, plus 8 is 25.
To number 3.
To number...
That's 21.
Who's 21?
13
Yes.
plus 8. 21.
Yes.
21 points of damage as both of the, once again, Sylvie's Elder's Blast, the arcs find their mark, hitting both of its shoulders, and it lets out this angry growl. Vanders, you're up.
Alright, I'm just going to attack the one that I attacked before, right in front of me.
Okay.
I got 27.
27 hits.
Uh, 19 damage.
To number, what number is
Number
that?
2.
Number 2, 19 damage. Okay. Your venom spine sinks into his gut, and he is bleeding just as badly. It's another wound from your rapier. Now it is Ratley's turn. He is going to shift around and say,
I can't see.
And so he's going to try to shoot through Rodek at number 3, and he's gonna let a crossbow bolt. Come on, let's see, and get a natural 1. This bolt looks to be a little bit waterlogged, and as soon as he pulls the trigger, it just explodes into like gross moldy splinters.
Ah, shit! I should have checked that one. Sorry, lads.
And he's loading his crossbow again for another go. With that, this one is going to see the devastation that Rodek did. He is going to make his way on top of the corpse of this guy, so he's going to provoke opportunity attacks, and he's going to do the same 2 battle axe attacks. That's going to miss. And that's going to be another natural 1 and fail. He's going to go with his bite attack, and that is going to hit, dealing 8 points of piercing damage as his crocodile jaws sink into your flesh. And then, Avantris, we have 2 battle axe attacks here. One of those hits, dealing. That deals 5 points of slashing damage, and his bite attack. His bite attack does hit. Before. I'll always say it before, and then you can have it.
Thank you. Okay.
Cool. And then 6 points of piercing damage as the teeth sink into you.
Didn't matter.
And there's only 2 lines, right? Yep.
Yep.
Annulin, you're up.
Alright. How much movement would I need to like get past them?
1, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
What I would like to do is like run up and vault over Gandhi and
Gandhi?
Can I do that?
I use my reaction to hold my shield up so you can jump. You jump on my shield and I'll spring you.
Teamwork makes the dream work. So I'm gonna run up and vault over Ganji with his assistance and fire after transferring my hunter's mark. Fire
Of course.
2 arrows to number 3.
So where do you want to land? Here, let's just say you can land there.
Now I kind of want to like vault over him, so like firing the arrows, and then maybe if I kill him, I would like land on him.
DM, is that fine?
We have some wacky
How much
shenanigans.
movement?
Can she basically vault on top of him and shoot in the air and then land on his space if she kills him? If not,
You can certainly try. Make an acrobatics check.
And like I say, if I can use my reaction to like hold my shield up so she has like a platform to jump off of.
Well, so you can do that with assistance.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. So do I have to roll anything for that? Or
Acrobatics, yeah.
Say acrobatics.
Yeah.
That's not rolling with assist or with advantage, though, right?
I would say no. Just Ganji's gonna make it possible to do that.
Okay. Cool.
And it'll affect the DC a little bit.
I'm
What?
I got an 11.
11. Okay, that's enough. Go ahead and make your attacks.
Cool.
The DC was 10.
Oh, nice. Okay.
She's
Make your
midair.
attacks. Now, what does Hex do again?
Hex is just just for warlocks.
Yeah, Hex
Yeah,
doesn't affect
and
it.
it's ability checks, but yeah, so we'll say Dex ability checks, but
It doesn't matter for
doesn't
this.
matter.
Okay, I thought it did attack, give you an advantage on attack rolls.
No, it just improves warlock damage if they hit a hex target.
I got a 20 and a 24.
Both hit. Which number is this?
3. She's flipping in the air. Oh.
It's 31 total damage.
31 total damage. So, to number 3, you fire both of your arrows, but unfortunately he's still alive as you land, we'll say land next to him, and with that movement he's going to get an opportunity attack on you. because you did not kill him. And it's going to get a natural 20.
Oh.
Last time I tried to do something fun.
Kels, I thought it was cool.
Hey, you didn't kill him. That was crucial to the plan, right? Landed on his corpse.
Extra cool when she stabs him. I mean, when he stabs her.
Did you like bleeding out in the corner? How did you
Yes.
love it?
18 points of slashing damage.
Oh.
As you're expecting him to die, he seems to be holding on a little bit, and he manages to hit you with his axe.
Hold on. I want to use my reaction to make a melee weapon attack with
Okay.
Sentinel.
Okay.
No, you don't. Ooh, plus 8 is 6 plus 8 is what? 14.
14 barely misses.
Oh.
You see him make his attack on Anulin, and you swing your axe around, but he managed to dodge out of the way despite being almost dead.
He must have enraged at the last 10%.
With
It's a
that,
copy.
it is
Takes no
Gandy's
fucking
turn.
damage.
Okay, and he's disadvantaged for dex saves now? From Hex?
From Dex a bit. So we were doing it wrong this whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
so
not saves?
it's only ability checks, I believe.
Oh, alright.
Um,
Then I'm just gonna walk up. Am I already in melee? Yeah, I am. So I'm just gonna attack him. Okay. That's well over 20 to hit.
20, okay. That hits.
That's garbage damage
To
though.
number 3?
Yeah. 6 damage.
Just enough.
Yes! Got it.
After Anulin fails to kill him, Rodic fails to hit him, Gandy walks up and push, teeth fly as his skull caves in from Gandy's war.
I'm gonna step up here.
Okay.
Next to number 2.
Okay.
And I'm just going to cast a level 1 healing word on Vandris.
Okay.
With my bonus action.
Use your bonus action to say a very short prayer to Bahamut, and the platinum light shines down. His wounds
Nice.
close up a little bit.
And you heal for 8.
nice.
Rodic, you're up.
Max heal for a change.
We got
Also, Michael, who's on Facebook, he's Michael Drysdale.
Oh, Michael
He says that
Drysdale.
Gricko sounds like, jazz is like the new Coke. It'll be around forever. With the Pokemon. So, Michael, you're the man.
I
Michael's
wish
the
I
best.
understood that reference.
Oh, it's Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby. Is it from The Simpsons?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna move up here.
What do you like to play?
It'll be around forever.
One certainly misses, and the other one is over 20.
Yes, that will hit. You have 28 AC.
5, 6, 10 damages.
To number which?
To the last one, number 2.
10 damages.
You see? You sit super.
Zip zap zoobity bop. Your axe cleaves into it, and he seems to be very wounded.
Close.
Hanging on.
And Michael, check us out on Twitch so we can see your chat better if you want to
Yeah.
jump in a
The
chat.
chat is lit on Twitch, Michael. You're the best. Anyway, Sylvie's up. Sylvie's up.
What F?
So
Sorry. I will transfer blah blah blah, transfer hex, and attack twice. I rolled really well with Sylvie. They both hit. They're both 20 something. Oh. 11, 12, 16, 20, 24 damage.
How would Sylvie like to do this?
Sylvie is going to shoot her double glitter lance, and they're going to go. Each one is going to go into a nostril and blow up his head.
So both arcs of flesh shrink to a tiny form as they shoot. It's like the homing the photon missile or torpedo from Star Wars, and they go into his nostril and they explode his head, and pink glitter rains down, and quiet restores to the chamber. And with that,
We loot those bags. bags.
Right?
Those bags. So you loot around in those bags, and you find that each of them has 3 diamonds,
Oh shit.
Can we?
roughly hewn.
That's so many new Avantris lives.
Yeah.
I'm not. Okay, I swear I'm not trying to be that guy. But if you give them to me, I can use them as reagents for resurrection spells.
Well, we already
I
bought
just-
3, didn't we?
Yeah, we do.
So
That's true.
well, it certainly doesn't hurt to have plenty. I'm gonna try to find.
And you find 37 gold pieces on the rest of them.
Okay.
Make sure you tabulate that, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna. Okay. I'll just write it here.
So that's 9. What is that? 9 diamonds and
12. 12 diamonds.
Because of this guy. Or
Yeah.
wait, or
No,
all
4
four.
of them, right?
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I forgot there were.
They had heavy satchels full of diamonds.
My favorite kind of satchel.
So what do we say? How many were there? 4. So in total, how many?
So
12.
12 diamonds.
37 gold.
Yeah.
37 gold.
Ooh, I can also use it for stone skin. Excellent.
Oh, well, this is a wee find. So you didn't tell us anything about anything, right, Avantris?
No. There wasn't anything to say except for the fact that, what did I overhear? They were just chatting.
Well, they said that they were basically gonna, they were like stealing the diamonds, right? But I didn't hear that, so.
You didn't hear that.
It's fine. I tell them whatever I heard.
Okay, you guys chat. I'm gonna go grab a drink.
Grab me one, please.
I think these guys are stealing diamonds, but there are diamonds now.
Well, I guess that's a good thing for us because if this is where they were talking about, it's probably far away from any other prying eyes or ears. I suppose.
Could be.
So why don't we just have Genji hold on to all the diamonds, just in case he drops 11 and someone dies.
You
never
never know.
You never know.
I think we should give one of the diamonds to Radley.
I was literally gonna say the same
I'm
thing.
okay with that.
Oh, that's
Maybe at the end, but I think that once the list people are free, he can definitely use this to get a leg up in the world.
That's completely. Well, hold on, Lou. We split the loot, right, Ratley? That's how pirates work, right?
Yeah, it's wrong when you split the loot.
We split the loot fairly. How many of us are there?
Well, there's 6 of us, so he gets 2.
He
I
gets
guess.
2 diamonds.
That's awfully generous. I was thinking just the one.
As I'm giving,
It's not a whole crew, and they put us up.
As I'm about to give all the diamonds, yeah, I take 2 away, and
Alright, we'll give him 2, I
thanks.
guess.
I'll give them to Ratley.
You guys are a lot more generous than I was expecting.
Now you keep that safe.
Oh, I
You'll
will.
need that one day.
I will, yeah.
And don't let people see it, and just in case they, know it comes
You know,
from your
we
way, shouldn't
your
have
cash
been.
now.
Count your tips in public, Cedric. Anybody get that reference? No.
Nope.
What? No.
Is there anything
Home
else
Alone?
in this in
Sounds
this
familiar.
side?
Make an investigation check.
Shit.
All that good 6.
Can we help him?
So you can help him. Make a roll with advantage, Kanji.
That's a little better. It's a 12.
12. You look around, and it seems as if there are a few things like a few bits of rations, and some like tattered clothes and the like, and some camping materials. But it just seems to be kind of like the little hideout of wherever these people were.
Doesn't look like they've been here for long though. Okay. I didn't know if this was like their base of operations or they just like ducked in here after stealing some shit.
Do they have any mining gear on them at all?
You do find that there seems to be 2 of them had like hard hat kind of things like fastened, kind of hammered out to fit the head of a crocodile. But beyond that, they don't have like any picks or anything.
Well, I think this is a good sign that these crocodiles certainly have no loyalty to King Krem. So, Ratley, I think that this plan may work.
Please tell me that one of you saw what I did with that trap.
So
what?
What do you
we
mean?
we heard a trap go off. We just assumed that the big guy was clumsy and stumbled on it.
That's what I assumed as well.
Unbelievable. My amazing deeds will never be sung by bards and poets.
You're
Unbelievable.
saying you did that?
I did?
No,
I-
no way.
And
Sure
you,
that you
and
do
you
that.
expect us to believe this?
Yeah,
I know,
frankly, I heard the crash and I assumed I'd find you dead underneath the car.
Right?
That's true too.
Someday you'll all witness my greatness.
Well, we're all alive, and that's all that matters. And we're quite a few diamonds richer, so actually, I may change to 10 diamonds. So we don't...
I have them on my inventory too.
Okay, perfect.
So, shall we carry on? Rightly, which...
Is it in good condition or is it ruined?
Make an investigation check.
I'll be right back, carry on without me.
27?
You take a look at it. It seems to be pretty sturdy. You see that it might be kind of bent in a little places, but you probably get the sense that you might be able to get it working.
That's up to you guys. If we want to just charge headlong into this bad boy, we could always take this for a spin.
Rightly, do you think this will take us the right way?
Well, we gotta get into the, we gotta go up. And so we gotta get into the, main, mining chamber and then go off towards where all those waspy creatures are. So, it probably will be able to take us towards where we gotta go. All places go towards the center of the volcano.
It should have some sort of handbrake on it, so we don't have to go too quickly. We can just see where it goes, and if we don't like it, just stop and get out.
Is this downhill?
Currently, yes.
Okay. So we have an idea that if we push it back on the track and get in, it'll start going?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is down.
Yep.
I'm willing to roll the dice if you are.
It might not be, it'll be the quickest option, but it might not be the quietest.
That's my concern. We could try.
Though,
I mean,
I guess minecarts are not going to be an unusual noise in a mine.
unless people think it's. Well, are there any other voices?
Not that you hear right now.
Why don't we give it a shot and hopefully we can find some kind of break?
Sure.
Well, let me.
So let's work together.
Give me a hand. Let's go.
I'll assist.
Okay.
So we try
So
heave
you
it onto the
make
cart.
just a general athletics check. With advantage because you're being helped.
D20. Where the fuck are my dice? Oh, they're there. Ooh, that helps. 20.
20. Okay, so with Ganji and Vandris helping, you manage to heave it off of the dead crook, pull the body out of the way, and then right it back and make sure that it's firmly on the track. And it seems to clatter into place, echoes through the tunnels as you do a quick test, and it seems the wheels seem to be rolling.
Is there any kind of like handbrake?
Yes, there is.
Is it functional?
Last chance to back out.
Can we give the handbrake a try to make sure it'll actually stop the cart? Like push it a little bit up and then
Yeah.
just
You test it, and it seems to be functioning.
Wow. It's far from the worst idea we've done.
This is no Remington Manor.
Well, there's still time yet. If mines usually mean
Roderick already
explosives, so
told me we're not allowed to set fires underground.
No. It's
yeah,
not a
but
good
I
idea.
don't think you scruple to discount explosions and mine collapses from that.
True.
So, what can we see down the way? Are there any other like
So make a
passages
perception
off?
check. With advantage, I guess everyone's looking. No.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Natty 20! 25. So. Here you go. Thanks.
So you see, as you look down, and we'll just say that you can kind of explore, that it goes down and it seems to go. This track continues, and then there is a wooden circular platform built into the ground. It seems to be a bit raised, and it seems to be lined up with the current track heading forward. But it seems like maybe there are tracks that are cutting it parallel as well, or perpendicular as well. So you think that if you spun it, you could also take it in other directions.
This is going to get confusing quickly. Do we have any way to keep track of, maybe make a map as we go?
Genji, would you like to do the honors and maybe just do a quick sketch
Sure.
of how we go?
So I sketch out. I'm basically gonna start like scribing a map of just very basically like lines with a star to mark where we started, and then just roughly like directions.
What about? Can we see down here at all? Or
Oh, yeah, you can see down there.
and you see that it's just the other track heading. Okay, yeah, let's say we just kind of like took a little bit just to explore
Take
the
a little
immediate
bit.
area.
Yeah, basically, it's the whole map.
Well, let's get this Donkey Kong Country level going.
Alright, so then I think we should absolutely take the minecart. I think we need to figure out, we have 3, why don't we walk the cart down to the junction and figure out which way we need to go.
Okay.
How's it sound?
Okay.
Sure.
So I want to kind of like keep it slow right up to here.
Okay.
And then, what can we glean from either of these 3? Oh, sorry. So there are basically 3 passageways.
So,
We could go.
you walk the cart down to the first turning platform thing. I'm sure there's a proper name for you miners out there. I'm sorry.
Sorry, miners.
Sorry, miners. Coal miners and wife. That is a meta inside joke. And
Snacks would appreciate.
yeah, they'll never watch this. And you make your way down, and why don't you? Whoever has the highest perception can make a perception check at advantage.
I have 4.
It's probably not me.
Probably is me.
Else, yeah.
Mine's a 4.
Yours plus what? Like 8? Or not 8? 7, yeah.
That'll do.
Okay. 7. As you're able. With it.
I rolled really shitty, so I
Did you
got
roll with advantage?
a 12.
Did you use advantage?
I did not. Was I supposed to?
Yes.
We're all helping.
That was even worse.
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, 12 it is.
12. You listen, and you do hear something, but it sounds like the similar sound is coming from all 3 passages. And it sounds like the loud clinking of mine picks hitting stone and earth.
Hmm.
Well, maybe taking the cart isn't the greatest idea then, if we're easily spotted in it.
Or taking it really, really fast through somewhere would be a good idea.
Oh my God.
Or really, really slow, so that we can stay abreast of danger. So basically, we hear mining in all the tunnels. Is one uphill?
Both seem to be sloping slightly downwards. All 3 rather seem to be sloping slightly downwards.
Well, we want to go to the middle, right, Ratley?
I think all of them eventually go to the main chamber, and then there's a whole bunch, from what Adele was saying, that there would be a whole bunch of mine carts and different tunnels that would go off to different parts of the volcano. And what we want is the buzzy one.
I don't really know of any way to discern between these besides just kind of picking and going.
Could I use... What's that? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
looking at kind of the stonework that carved each of the tunnels, as I want to do, is there a difference in how these tunnels were carved at all, or do they all look exactly the same, like carved in the same
count
manner?
as stone mason stuff? I guess it would.
Yeah,
Yeah. So make
basically.
make whatever check you do. What is the check?
It's a
History?
check plus double proficiency at advantage. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
It seemed like it was all roughly hewn with standard or crew tunneling equipment.
Well, if they all lead the same way, then let's just... Hold on.
Druidix catchphrase.
Hold on now. Unless these were already pointed these ways, which makes me think that there was at least some kind of minecart activity going down these two tunnels. So why don't we take this tunnel, assuming that if this hasn't been used in a while, this was probably a less used tunnel.
That's as good a guess as any.
Does that land?
Works for me.
Well, stands a reason for me.
All right, if I think we're in agreement.
All right.
So I guess can we see how this works? Like, can we just get the minecart on here?
Yeah,
and
so you would be able to roll on it, and then you'd be able. There are handles, heavy metal handles, basically where this wooden raised platform is with this track that the cart is now on, and you're able to work together to spin it and point it in whatever direction you'd like.
So I think pointing it in this direction is.
It's as good a guess as any, I'll say. But
I have
All right.
I missed. I was walking the dog. What is it like? We're in the cart and it's just rolling along. It's in good shape.
Yeah,
Yep.
Does it like squeak or make noise or?
it makes minecart noises.
So it does have a squeaking noise, and it rattles in the wheels. It's not like a smooth ride at all, for sure. It is loud and
Can I,
cloud.
oil the moving parts with my flask of oil to
Oh.
make it quieter?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Make it. Let's just make a dex check, just to see how proficient you are with this.
I am not. This is my first time oiling a minecart, and I rolled a 10.
10. So you waste. You use your whole oil flask. You waste most of it. It does seem to go into whatever parts you think you would oil. But you're a ranger. You're not really much of like a miner type. But it does seem to quiet a little bit, but not as much as you were hoping.
I think that did something. It feels a little
Oh,
quieter.
very good job,
A
yay.
good idea.
So why don't we just take it nice and slow, and we'll keep an ear out and an eye out.
Okay.
You say anything?
No.
Okay. So we
Forward.
I said okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
we move down this pathway.
So that pathway, so you're all piling in.
Yes.
You're all dead.
And rocks fall.
Rocks fall.
Funny you
Literally.
say that.
Rocks fall. You all get in the minecart, and how quickly are you going?
Apparently not very fast.
I think we're gonna keep it relatively slow, just so that we can. It's not so loud that we can't hear anything, and that we're making a bunch of noise before.
And then there's a gap in the tracks. We have to jump across, but we miss the jump and die, and we're out of one-up balloons, and it's game over.
Oh no!
So you all pile in, and then Ratley seems to be a little bit concerned.
So which one of you is driving this thing?
I got the break.
Have you ever done this before?
Plenty of times.
Make a deception check.
I'm rolling insight against his
Is there anything to
deception.
drive besides the handle? It's probably just the
I
brake.
got 14.
My-
Yeah, there's no steering. It's just
my-
a break.
My insight roll is 19, so I'm calling bullshit.
I probably know
I got a 14.
if I worked in the mines of Beaver Creek and stuff. Would I know how to
Yeah, you might have an understanding of that. I'd say.
Okay.
Why don't you let Rodek? I think I believe that he's done it a little more than you
Leave
have.
this to the professionals.
We shift over.
So yeah, I grab the brake and I'm taking us down at a moderate pace, but basically I don't want it to be like unreasonably loud where like all we can hear is like our mind cart sounds.
So I will say, the more that you are letting on the brake, the more like, so there's grinding on the brake.
Okay, so basically a moderate speed.
Okay.
Where we're not so fast where we can't hear anything, but not like creaking, so that a medium speed, we'll say.
Okay. Okay. With your medium speed, you are taking the minecart down. You start to get a little bit of momentum where you don't really, no one needs to get out and push, and you're just going down deeper and deeper into the volcano. And as you're making your way through these winding tunnels, you feel yourself getting deeper, and you feel the strange kind of rushing of air as you get deeper into this mine. And you see up ahead of you, with enough time to stop if you choose, you start to see an opening that seems to go into a very large open cavern.
Yep.
You and you pull up on the brake, and you see that opening up ahead, and you can see far off in the walls kind of light glimmering as you see what seems like firelight, torchlight glimmering and glinting off of diamonds and seemingly other precious gems, all on the sides of this cavern.
Do we see any like movement, any bodies running around like mining?
Make a perception check.
21.
You see movement. You see movement of... You can see, it's too far for you to see, but you definitely see that there are structures built into alongside this far side of the cavern, and there seems to be movement of bodies, potential mine carts. You, with that perception roll, you are hearing the loud clanging, clattering of mining picks against hard earth, and the rattling and screeching of mine carts. And you also do hear a low buzzing noise that seems to echo very, very faintly.
Is there a direction that the buzzing is coming
It's
from?
all coming from this large cavern. So you get the sense that everything's echoing from this
Okay.
whatever chamber that you're about to empty into.
Well, lads, I think this is where we leave the minecart.
Sounds fair enough.
So I hop out.
Do we have to like chalk the wheels, or does the brake stay locked, or?
You get you get the sense that it kind of goes a little bit back. You think that some rattling might send the minecart going.
Are there any is there any kind of like alcove on the side? How heavy is this thing?
It's pretty fucking heavy.
Is it
You crush
reasonable that we could like get it off the track and like shove it to the side?
I mean, you got it on the track, so you could, with the help of the gang again, you could.
So if there's any kind of like rocky like crag that's sticking out, just to kind of like get it in shadows off of the cart.
I mean, the minecart on the track might not be that conspicuous anyway.
Right, but I'm just saying if someone wants to come through here, I want. If we need to get out, was there any kind of like, or does it only go one way? How do we get it up? How do minecarts work? I don't know.
You get the sense that whatever it is, that certain tunnels, or there would be ways to get back out, but from your sense, the momentum that you have is taking you downwards.
Well, why don't we just block the wheels or whatever you said, and we'll just remember which tunnel we came out of,
Deal.
just in case. Okay. So shall we move forward?
Slowly and carefully.
Yeah, can we like stealth up as we enter the cave?
Okay. So, everyone roll stealth check, including Ratley.
I guess we should roll for Nikki as well.
Sylvie got a 23.
I got an 8.
I got an 8.
I got a 16.
Okay. You are as stealthy as you are able. And as you approach, this cavern, you take a look and see an enormous chamber deep beneath this volcano. You hear the loud shouting of crooks calling back and forth to each other. You see far off in the distance tunnels upon tunnels upon tunnels being dug out as gems and diamonds glint in the sides of this cavern. And as you make your way towards the edge, you see that the tracks continue, but they seem to be built off on wooden slats that are built onto the side of the wall and go and continue down alongside. So if you were to continue, you would need to basically be making your way along these wooden platforms that are sticking out of the wall. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So the track continues alongside, and wooden platforms are built into the side of the cavern and guided that way rather than dug into tunnels. So the actual solid stone surface, basically, it's a sheer drop down as one of these many tunnels dug into this huge cavern complex.
But does it look like the slats aren't so far apart that we can't get between them?
You could get between them, but it would probably be pretty treacherous. You have to be making some checks.
And obvious that we're all trying to balance around. Well, what do we do?
I don't know, this is tough. It sounds almost like we're better off taking the cart.
Right.
Can we look around? So we still can't tell where the buzzing is coming from because it's echoing.
Correct. It is echoing, and this cavern is so large that some are close. Some of the tunnels are closer than others. You do hear kind of this low buzzing around, and you do notice, however, that you make a perception check again, Candy, since you've asked.
Fuck.
Ooh, we're not rolling well tonight, ladies and Joims.
I was rolling fine for my attack rolls, but this just is garbage. That's a 6.
So you aren't able to tell which vague direction the buzzing is coming from, but you do see far off into the corner crooks traveling not just by minecart or by foot, but you see these very large, fat, plump, yellow, black striped bee-looking creatures that are flying, and they seem to be mounted by crooks that have mining picks.
Earlier when we were talking about crocodiles or bees or both, I was going to joke about crocodiles mounted on bees, but now we're here and it's reality, and I don't feel like it's that funny anymore.
I wish that there was something about this that was funny. But,
well, we're natural beast tamers. We have very high animal handling.
is that right? You're proficient, you might say.
Oh, I might say it. Once or twice.
Alright, well, let's...
Should we dare try to commandeer one of these creatures?
That sounds like a less than great idea.
We're all going to ride a bee. Can we see how does the track go along does it go just further down?
So it continues to go down, and then you see that it curves out a little bit into the cavern and then arcs back into another tunnel dug in.
Well, I say let's get back on the cart.
Are you sure you don't want to try to ride a bee?
Aren't they really far away? How far away are they?
I mean, I'm always down to try something new.
Aren't the bees super far away?
I mean, the ones that you can see are far away, yeah, very far.
So
Don't we?
we could
Do we have
eventually
any
ride a
magical enchanted fey honey to
Don't we?
draw them in.
Like the roll to roll in honey.
Do you have honey?
I don't know.
No, I think
There's like a ration or something.
I think-
Is that part of a ration pack?
riding a bee sounds like a wonderful idea. I just think that right now that it's far on the other side of the cavern. Up, it was up, right? Are they up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine, we'll get back in the cart.
Unless you'd like to try. I mean, if you can find a way to beckon a bee with the
I'm
crocodile
not ready
riding
to
it.
die just yet, Ronek. Let's get back to the
All
cart
right, we'll
and,
get back in the
and
cart.
try to make our way on here.
Why don't we stay low? And how dark is the cavern?
It is dark because you're obviously underground, but
Holy shit. I could polymorph into a bat, change into a human on top of a bee, and wrangle that son of a bitch.
Or maybe you could just like scope around and see if we can find which cave is the bee cave and just.
No. If I'm gonna use polymorph, it's not gonna be something mundane like that. Let's all get in the cart and just fucking yippee-ki-yay out of here.
Alright, should we use Pass Without a Trace?
I don't think so. It's gonna be a loud-ass minecart
But
rattling all over the place.
how
Well,
vis-
that would negate the sound.
Does it? That
Yeah.
seems
wow, does it? Wow.
It is.
that seems really overpowered.
it's really good.
It's a good spell.
Like maybe we should murder Annual to balance our game.
Beatrice cuts Annual's throat in the middle of the night. I'm watching.
Nothing personal, kid.
He starts teleporting behind people.
He's fast.
Yeah, this is a veil of shadows and silence radiates
Yeah.
from me.
Wow.
Nice try, kid. You made me use 10% of my power.
Oh,
Well, so Annulan, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you have enough power to use another one?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd rather ride a bee, but I guess we don't.
You'll get your chance, I
Right,
promise
right
you.
now, let's not take it off the table completely.
No, it's not. Once we find a
Okay.
bee, you can ride it. It's all yours.
Maybe I'll stealth up to a bee and then ride it.
Right.
3,
So
2, 1. Bees.
why don't we all jump in, stay low, and we'll cast a shadow around us.
Agreed.
You know, it's really unfortunate that no one's thought of polymorphing someone into a bee yet.
All right. There could be a lot of good shenanigans.
So,
So anyway, we do that.
so you do that.
The thing we do.
11:26.
Pretty late.
Oh Jesus. Okay. With that, you so you pass without a trace. Did everyone roll stealth?
Oh, we should probably do that.
Bradley's gonna roll stealth.
I got a 35.
It's not advantage, right?
Nope. I
Mine is.
got a 17.
Okay.
Sylvie got a 25.
Okay.
I got a 14.
Okay. Wow.
So bad at this. I'm disadvantaged and I'm rolling better than you
I
are.
rolled a lot. These boots don't fucking.
I got a 29.
29. Okay. Okay. So, you Annulin channels the. Why is my music not going? I'm sorry, you guys. It's just like I need it.
Where's the music?
I need it.
Hang on, wait. DM question.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're going to say no to this because it's bullshit, but I have to ask. If I cast silence on the cart, like as with the cart as the location of the spell doesn't move with the cart.
I don't know. How does that work? Probably not. No, it's area in space, right?
Yeah.
You don't put it on something. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
it would not.
If it's like darkness, you choose an object to cast it on.
But I mean, that I don't think
Oh, it
so.
doesn't work. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure it didn't count as like a moving location.
So like if you're like on an airship or something and have a combat and you just silence, it just like zips past.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
That-
But I'm.
It sounds like Fiat.
Yeah, I feel like in this scenario, it's probably you guys are too small of a thing.
Yeah, that's a little wacky. I definitely agree with that. I just had to ask.
Anyone did a pretty good job silencing you
Yeah,
guys.
I had to try.
So, with that, your minecart.
Wait, sorry. I'm not disadvantaged with that.
No,
Because I'm not moving.
No,
Shit.
So,
Should I reroll?
just roll to reroll. We'll
Okay,
just
sorry.
That's fine.
Wow, that was worse. So let me just keep my.
Yeah,
fuck, no,
that's
I can't.
That's fine.
well, no, you disadvantaged before, so it's you can keep it, right?
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, he had a worse.
That's fine. So, you continue on. Annulin's power of night shrouds you in stealth as the minecart disappears into darkness, and the 6 of you are making your way. It then arcs around. You get a better look of this tunnel as you kind of get a bird's eye view, and you see that there are a lot of crooks focused down towards the lower tunnels that are a lot of the lower tunnels that are dug out. You curve around going back into the tunnel, and it continues down until the tunnel opens up, and you pass right by another track that seems to be built in side by side, as a very large tunnel opens up, and you hear very loudly a female crook voice call out, I think we got another flail snail! And then everyone says, oh, run away, for melancholia! And they start running towards the sound of the voice, and that is where we'll call the session.
Holy guacamole.
Dun-dun-dun.
Wait, so are we coming towards them?
Yes.
Or... Oh, shit.
Well,
Wowie zowie.
Well.
Okay, well, we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do.
I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to cast Sacred Flame on the back of the cart, but like sideways, so that the pillar of flame goes out and forms like a rocket, and just rocket us towards them and fucking knock them over like bowling pins. That's my plan.
Brilliant. That sounds like a Avantris plan.
It'll totally work, and is not even remotely an abuse of the rules. It's not even an abuse of the rules, it's just an abuse of common sense.
Well,
I don't-
rule of
it-
cool. Rule
Yeah,
of
that's
cool.
not even
Always
that's
rule
not
of
even
cool.
pretending to follow
Thanks
the
for
rules.
watching.
Okay, yeah, guys, thank you so
Real
much.
quick.
We'll be back on Wednesday. Legends of Avantris. If you want to tune into the Discord tomorrow, we may be shit posting about Critical Role. May or
Just
may
might
not.
be.
I need to catch up on that episode actually, so maybe I won't be watching. So
Hopefully we will.
I promise. Hopefully we will. I promise I'm going to be catching up soon. So thank you
Someone will
guys.
be on. Or someone's always on.
Yeah, someone's always on. We can always shit post. So, anyways, thank you guys. You're the best. Come hang out with us in Discord, which is linked and pinned and in our description.
If you're on Facebook, check us out on Twitch. There's way more. We have Twitch chat up. It's hard to have Facebook chat up because
Yes.
Facebook chat just really sucks.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Facebook is garbage.
It sucks.
Well, we still do it. We still love both. Okay, anyway, thank you guys. We will see you next time for big episode 20, and I'm gonna sign us off here.